Chapter 626. P.S. I'm really sorry. I slept too late last night. I was in a daze this morning and overslept after a nap. I'm sorry. Lu Xing saw that the situation was not good and quickly said, Hua Yuhao, quickly dig a hole with your sword. Hua Yuhao pulled out the sword from his waist and leaped 10 meters into the air. He stuck close to the stone wall and wielded his sword, the sword that could cut through iron like mud cut through tofu, and easily dug a hole that was big enough for 4 people to enter. Suddenly, rocks fell from the canyon, densely packed together. Quickly go in, Lu Xing quickly said. The 4 of them flew into the cave. Bam, 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 bam. Rumble, as soon as the 4 of them entered. Huge rocks fell from the sky. If they were to stand still, even if their martial arts were profound, they would have to expend a huge amount of inner energy to touch these huge rocks. These huge rocks fell endlessly. Although the inner energy of a grandmaster was endless, it could not replenish such consumption. When the inner energy was exhausted, it would be the time when they would be crushed into meat paste. This is too cruel. Lu Xing shook his head and sighed. The 3 of them nodded. They really did not expect this move. This was a military move that was rarely used by people in the martial arts world. Is the head chief outside? Xiang Feishu asked. Lu Xing smiled. The head chief is so smart. How could he fall into such a trap? Suddenly, a long whistle was heard. The 4 of them became alert as they recognized Chu Li's voice. The head chief is up there, Xiang Feishu quickly said. Lu Xing nodded and said, Let's go up. The rocks above no longer fell. They stuck their heads out to look up. The clouds above were calm, and the bright moon had shifted. The light in the canyon was slightly dimmer. The moonlight only shone on the top half of the stone wall. Go, Lu Xing shouted. The 4 of them got out of the cave and leaped up the stone wall. In the blink of an eye, they reached the top of the canyon. Under the cold moonlight, they saw Chu Li's white robe fluttering as he stood with his hands behind his back. Not far from his feet were 8 masked men in black. Beside the black-clothed masked man was a pile of huge rocks the size of a small hill. Further away, there were several large cauldrons with boiling oil in them. Even from such a distance, one could feel the scorching heat. Head chief. The 4 of them cupped their fists. Chu Li smiled. 3 of them are from the imperial residence. Let them go and cripple the other 5's martial arts. Yes. Lu Xing and the others cupped their fists and replied. They rushed over excitedly and quickly pulled off the mask of the man in black. Humph, these guys are really heartless. In Wuqiu gritted his teeth. Are you really going to let them go, head chief? These 3 fellows had gone through fire and water with him, but they were merciless. Looking at the huge rock, then looking at the burning oil, they had no intention of giving him a way out. Chu Li said, After all, he belongs to our public house. I'll let it go this time. Yes, In Wuqiu said angrily. Lu Xing and the others were swift in their actions. Soon, they had crippled the martial arts of the 5 people. They were all grandmasters, but their acupuncture points had already been sealed by Chu Li. They could not move at all, and could only watch as their martial arts were crippled. They glared at Chu Li and Lu Xing's group of 5 with hatred. Lu Xing said, Head chief, these guys will be trouble in the future if we let them go. It's better to kill them. Chu Li smiled and shook his head. Let them go. Let them live. They won't be able to do anything. Killing them directly was not as intimidating as crippling their martial arts. It was better to be dead than alive. All right. Lu Xing stared at them unwillingly and scoffed. The head chief is merciful. He gave you a way out, but you don't know how to be grateful. You deserve to die. Chu Li walked to the front of the 3 masters from the imperial residence and sighed. I know it's the Royal Highness order, You have no choice. I've always treated everyone in the imperial residence as a family. I never thought that we would have to fight. If there's a next time, I'll cripple your martial arts too." The three of them looked helpless and cupped their fists. They had seen Chu Li's godlike martial arts. 8 grandmasters were defeated by him in the blink of an eye. They no longer had the intention to fight back. They only had respect for him. However, as the protectors of the imperial residence, how could they not listen to Kingen? They had no choice but to go against the imperial residence. "Go." Chu Li sighed and waved his hand. "Thank you, head chief." The three of them cupped their fists and bowed. They looked at the gloomy Ingwuchio. They smiled bitterly and floated away. A bunch of unscrupulous people. The head chief treated them so well, but he didn't hold back when he attacked them. Ingwuchio cursed. "Forget it, Elder Ing," Lu Xing said. "If they don't listen to the Royal Highness order, I'm afraid they'll be dealt with by the Royal Highness." Chu Li stood at the side with his hands behind his back. He recalled the situation just now. The 8 masked men in black had piled up a small hill of rocks and kept throwing them down. The boulders that they carried were already strenuous for them. Now that they had accelerated their descent, one could imagine the power of the boulders. Even if they were grandmasters, it would be difficult for them to withstand one boulder. 2 boulders would be their limit. If the third one fell, they could only run for their lives. If they were forced to hide on the cliff and jump up, those pots of hot oil would be waiting for them. If they didn't die, they would be left with half a life. When Chu Li saw this, he was enraged and threw a punch. He suddenly attacked and threw 2 divine light fists. Then he fought with the 6 men. He relied on his phantom body movement technique and the divine light fists. He was successful. When they received the divine light fists, their movements slowed down. The fist force entered their bodies and started to cause trouble. Then they received 2 more divine light fists and had no strength to fight back. Their acupuncture points were sealed by Chu Li. Chu Li did not spend much effort to subdue the 8 grandmasters. It was so smooth that it was beyond his expectations. The power of the divine light fist was amazing. It was far better than the Shura palm. The divine light fist was not the strongest martial art in the Holy Church of Light, but it was already so powerful. When he thought about it, he was even more afraid of the Holy Church of Light. "Head chief," Lu Xing called. Chu Li was multitasking. He smiled. "Time will tell. There's no hurry. Where's your letter?" "Here." Lu Xing patted his chest. Chu Li extended his hand. "Give it to me." Lu Xing took out the letter without hesitation and handed it over with both hands. Chu Li took the letter. "Have you thought about it? Do you want to go to the public house or continue back to the imperial residence?" Lu Xing and the other 3 looked at each other and said, "We'll continue to stay in the imperial residence." Chu Li smiled. "You don't have to do this. We can't just care about our own happiness. Leave the problem to the head chief." Lu Xing shook his head. If they left, they would be free and happy. However, the Royal Highness would definitely cause trouble for the head chief. After all, they were going to the public house. It would be impossible to hide it. This was equivalent to stealing from the imperial residence. It would not be good for the head chief's reputation. Moreover, they could not bear to leave the princess. They had been secretly protecting the princess. Unknowingly, they had developed feelings for her. If they left suddenly, the Royal Highness would definitely not arrange for masters to protect the princess. If there was an assassin and something happened to the princess, they would not be at ease for the rest of their lives. Chapter 627. Head Chief. The 4 of them were shocked. Lu Xing quickly said, "Head Chief, what do you mean?" "There must be a group of people lying in ambush at Green Hill. Although your light body technique is good, it's not that good. Let me do it. Chu Li smiled. But Lu Xing frowned. It's too dangerous. We can still look after each other. After all, it's easier to break out with more people. Chu Li chuckled. Can the four of you defeat me? Of course not. Lu Xing and the others shook their heads. Chu Li alone defeated 8 grandmasters. If these grandmasters dared to come, they must have the confidence to win. If 8 of them were not his match, it was even more impossible for the 4 of them to win. Chu Li spread his hands and smiled. Isn't that it? You guys wait here for news. Head Chief, why don't we go and help you? Lu Xing said. We'll wait at the foot of Green Hill. If a fight breaks out, we'll work together. Chu Li shook his head. There's no need for that. Lu Xing sighed and slowly nodded. All right, we're a burden to Head Chief. We'll only add to the chaos and delay Head Chief's operation. Chu Li smiled. It's good that you know. Go back and train hard. Don't be satisfied just because you're a grandmaster. The difference between grandmasters is like heaven and earth. If you meet them, it'll be a waste if you can't keep your life. Yes, Lu Xing and the others replied. Chu Li waved his hand and fluttered away. Inside the Basilica of Green Hill sat 8 middle-aged men and 2 elders. The 2 elders sat on the main seats with 2 armchairs. The 8 middle-aged men were divided into 2 rows. 3 sat in one row and 5 sat in the other. The basilica was filled with the fragrance of tea. They sipped on the tea and chatted leisurely. A middle-aged man put down his teacup, shook his head and sighed. His Royal Highness has gone overboard by summoning us here to deal with these 4 brats. Elder Meng, do you think His Royal Highness is making a fuss? The middle-aged man opposite him sneered. These 4 brats are all grandmasters. How can they be simple? He's so young. How strong can his cultivation level be? Cultivation level still depends on hard work. It has to be cultivated bit by bit. There's no shortcut. Elder Meng shook his head. It's not a rare thing to become a grandmaster. The key is the strength of his cultivation level. The young grandmasters should not be underestimated. Otherwise, you will be at a disadvantage. This is a lesson learned from my experience. Another round-faced middle-aged man said, just like that white shroud Shindao. He's so impressive. I heard that he killed more than 10 disciples of the Holy Church of Light. How can there be a dozen, 8 or 9, not 20? Ha! Everyone laughed. The disciples of the Holy Church of Light who dared to come to the Ji dynasty were definitely grandmasters. It was simply a joke for one person to be able to fight against more than 20 disciples of the Holy Church of Light. This was how rumors spread. The more they spread, the more exaggerated it became. After a few mouths were opened, a few more people were added, and the original few became more than 10. In short, this white-robed divine blade is still very powerful. The round-faced middle-aged man laughed. If we fight, I'm afraid we have no chance of winning. Young people nowadays are very impetuous. They always say that they are the world's number one. It's as if the world's number one can be easily achieved. A sallow-faced middle-aged man shook his head and sighed. Now, there's a saying in the martial arts world, something about Du Feng in the south and Chu Li in the north. It's as if there are only these 2 people in the world. Du Feng in the south and Chu Li in the north. Chu Li really can't be underestimated. Someone said, he's just a child. Elder Meng sneered. Elder Meng, how dare you people from the Green Hills say that? Someone laughed and shook his head. Have you forgotten the power of the E-Public House? That's the power of the E-Public House, not his. Elder Meng scoffed coldly. He hated Chu Li to the core, but he had to show his disdain. When the 5 factions united, their momentum was earth-shattering. In the end, the E-Public House forcibly destroyed 3 factions and heavily injured the Green Hill and Feng Huang Hill. Chu Li's shadow could be seen in this. They were afraid of the E-Public House and did not dare to provoke them anymore, but it did not mean that they did not dare to provoke Chu Li. If they could cripple Chu Li, it would be considered as restoring the prestige of the Green Hill faction. Unfortunately, they did not have such an opportunity. Chu Li was in the fairies' capital, so the Green Hill faction did not dare to go there and cause trouble. This white-clothed Shen Dao also killed you guys in a sorry state back then, right? Someone laughed out loud. Old Meng, don't be so stubborn. White Shroud Shen Dao, humph. Elder Meng sneered. We were caught off guard the last time, and we were still at the Snow Lunar Pavilion. If it were us, we would definitely make sure that he wouldn't be able to leave this place alive, and we would remove the name of this **T. White Shroud Shen Dao. We don't know about Chu Li's abilities, but it is said that he has shaken the fairies' capital and is quite famous. This White Shroud Shen Dao is quite powerful. Someone said, right at this moment, a young man gently came over and closed fist saluted, Masters Junior Meng, there's a person at the foot of the mountain. He said that he's here to deliver a letter under the orders of His Highness King, and Everyone quietened down and stared at him. Elder Meng said in a low voice, a person? Yes, a young man in a white robe. He looks very heroic, and from his bearing, he's not an ordinary person. The young man nodded. What's his name? Elder Meng said in a low voice. The young man touched the back of his head and shook his head in embarrassment. I didn't ask. Go and ask. Elder Meng scoffed. Yes. The young man nodded and left hurriedly. I say, Elder Meng, you're too cautious. It's just one person. Let's let him up the mountain first. So what if Chu Li is here? Someone laughed. We'll make sure that he doesn't return. I'm just afraid that he's here to scout. Elder Meng scoffed. We're going to take care of 4 people, not 1. If we don't succeed this time, we'll be too ashamed to face anyone. It's probably because of the ambush along the way. There's only 1 person left. The ambush along the way must have been very fierce. To be able to escape from it shows that he's quite capable. Someone laughed. It seems that this guy can't be underestimated. So what if he can't be underestimated? Do you think he can survive under our siege? If he can escape from the ambush, it doesn't mean that he can't escape from our siege. There's nothing wrong with being careful. Don't underestimate him. That makes sense. We have to be careful and not fail miserably. Otherwise, we'll lose all our face. The 2 elders had been resting with their eyes closed. They only glanced at them occasionally without saying a word. After a while, the young man ran in again and closed fist saluted, Masters Junior Meng. He said that his name is Chu Li. He entrusted me to pass this to Masters Junior Meng. He said that it's difficult to enter the Green Hills mountain gate. It's better if he doesn't enter. What? Elder Meng stood up abruptly. His burly body was like an iron tower. Who is he? Chu Li. The young man stuttered. Elder Meng turned his head and stared at everyone. Chu Li? Everyone's expression changed slightly. Why is it Chu Li? Everyone frowned. Did His Royal Highness make a mistake? What should we do? Someone asked. Elder Meng sneered. There's a way out for him, but he doesn't want to take it. Since he dares to come, he won't be able to leave. He scoffed in a low voice. Are you guys afraid? Scared by his reputation? Elder Meng, don't talk nonsense. Someone hurriedly shouted. The problem is that this isn't the target that His Royal Highness mentioned. What if he's wrong? He's the head chief of the imperial residence. If we kill him and His Royal Highness questions us, how are we going to explain it? Chapter 6:28. Elder Meng sneered and glanced at the crowd. You're afraid. Cough, cough. Someone coughed softly. Elder Meng, Everyone must be wary of Chu Li, but it was His Royal Highness's order to kill Lu Xing and the others, not Chu Li. If we kill Chu Li without thinking, not only will we fail to kill Lu Xing and the others, but we will also kill Chu Li. That would be two big mistakes. If we let Chu Li go, His Royal Highness will have nothing to say. At most, we will not be able to kill Lu Xing and the others. Elder Meng sneered. You're afraid. Everyone was embarrassed, and their faces were burning. In the end, they were finding excuses for themselves. They were indeed afraid. Chu Li's reputation was not just for show, it was earned in the fairies' capital. The fairies' capital gathered more than half of the grandmasters in the Ji dynasty's martial arts world. Chu Li's reputation in the fairies' capital was not undeserved. He defeated many grandmasters and earned his reputation. If not, who could let a young man like him suppress them? Who would be convinced? They had 10 grandmasters, but in the fairies' capital, they were not even comparable to an imperial residence. Moreover, they could not compare to the imperial residence's strength. Even imperial residence Cheng could not do anything to him, letting him come and go as he pleased. Even if they were to attack, they would only be at a disadvantage. Elder Meng sneered. What a bunch of cowards. Elder Meng, if you have the guts, go find him. We won't stop you. Someone shouted in dissatisfaction. You're from the Green Hill, you can't do whatever you want. We're from the Feng Huang Hill, we can't act recklessly and cause trouble for the faction. If we can't kill Chu Li, you should know the consequences. It's just revenge. He wouldn't dare. Elder Meng scoffed. That person laughed and seemed to be disdainful. Wouldn't dare? Are you saying Chu Li wouldn't dare, or the E-Public House wouldn't dare? Are they afraid of the Green Hill, afraid of the Feng Huang Hill? What a joke. Elder Meng, don't be stubborn. Know your place. Even if His Royal Highness finds out, he can't blame us. That's right. Everyone quickly nodded and tried to comfort themselves. Who would have thought that it would be this guy? We weren't prepared and couldn't dispatch more experts, so it's not our fault. Humph. Elder Meng sneered and sat down. I'm ashamed to be associated with you. Everyone cursed in their hearts. Seeing Elder Meng's action, they understood at once that Elder Meng had gained the good reputation of being a good person. He pretended to be a whore while maintaining his chastity. He scolded others for being cowardly, and cowardly while taking advantage of the situation to shrink back. It was really hateful. Elder Meng, if you have the guts, you should go and have a look. Maybe Chu Li is still waiting at the foot of the mountain. Yes. Go down and take a look. If he's really there, teach him a lesson. It's best if you kill him. Then we'll get rid of the worry in our hearts. Everyone will celebrate for you, and your name will be known throughout the martial arts world. Elder Meng said coldly, What's the use of reputation? Since no one dares to go, I won't show off. It will make me look like a loner. Everyone cursed in their hearts, wishing they could go forward and slap him a few times. With this, all the good reputation would be taken by Elder Meng, and they would become a coward. They would be laughed at. Elder Meng, I don't think you have the guts to go after him. You're just talking big, aren't you? Someone finally could not help but sneer. You speak as if you have the guts to teach Chu Li a lesson. I don't have the guts. Elder Meng nodded. Just like everyone else, a wise man submits to circumstances. You're really good. Everyone stared at him with hatred. Are you looking for me? Suddenly, a clear laugh was heard. A white shadow flashed before everyone's eyes. Chu Li was already standing in the middle of the hall, dressed in a white robe. His gaze was calm as he slowly looked at everyone present. They felt that his gaze was calm and did not have a strong sense of oppression or sharpness. However, they felt uncomfortable all over, as if all the secrets in their hearts had been seen through and there was nowhere to hide. "Who are you?" Someone scoffed coldly. After they became grandmasters, the disciples in the sect worshipped them, and the people in the sect also respected them. They had never been looked at like this before. This feeling of having nowhere to hide was very annoying. Chu Li smiled and closed fist saluted. "I'm Chu Li. Chu Li." Everyone's expression changed slightly as they stared at him in shock. They all came to a sudden realization. To be able to approach them without a sound, his cultivation level must be higher than theirs, and he was also a young man. In this case, it was not strange that he was Chu Li. Elder Meng said in a low voice, "How dare you barge into Greenhill?" Chu Li sized up this Elder Meng. He had a round face, a burly body, and an extraordinary aura. "Your surname is Meng?" Chu Li asked calmly. "That's right, my surname is Meng." Elder Meng scoffed. "Meng Chengfan." Chu Li said, "Did you receive His Royal Highness' letter?" "What about Lu Xing and the others?" Elder Meng said, "His Royal Highness ordered them to deliver the letter. Why are you the one?" Chu Li said, "They're injured and can't move. They're also afraid of delaying His Royal Highness business, so they could only ask me to come here. You guys have such a big lineup. Are you here to welcome Lu Xing and the others?" "They're so arrogant," Meng Chengfan scoffed. Chu Li nodded. "His Royal Highness business is important. I can't not help. Since I've received the letter, I've completed my task. I can go back now. Is there anything else?" "Humph, you with the surname Chu, since you're here, don't even think about going back." Meng Chengfan laughed coldly. "You dared to barge into the mountain alone. You're looking down on us." Chu Li laughed. "How would I know there would be so many people gathered here? I thought you had something important to discuss. We're thinking about how to deal with you. Kill you." Meng Chengfan scoffed. Chu Li smiled. "I'm here to deliver a letter on behalf of His Royal Highness. If you kill me, aren't you afraid of offending His Royal Highness?" "Humph! Killing the messenger was His Royal Highness' order. We're just following orders. His Royal Highness won't say anything." Meng Chengfan scoffed. He glanced at the crowd as he spoke. Everyone's expression was calm. They had no intention of making a move. They had personally witnessed Chu Li's cultivation level. It was not something they could match. What was more frightening was his light body technique. With such light body technique, even if so many people surrounded him, they might not be able to stop him. Since they were not confident, they had to be prepared for revenge. He had the identity of a member of the Secret Guardians Hall. Back then, the 4 major sects did not make trouble for him because of the rumors about the cloud-slashing treasure manual. It was better for them to be more cautious. Meng Chengfan's heart turned cold. He looked at the 2 elders. The 2 of them sat on the armchairs as if they had really fallen asleep. They did not move at all. Chu Li chuckled. "You really want to kill me? That's right." Meng Chengfan scoffed. Chu Li shook his head. "Then I'll kill you next time. Everyone, farewell." He closed fist, saluted, and smiled at the crowd. Then he glided towards the entrance of the main hall. He did not move quickly. He deliberately lured Meng Chengfan to make a move. Chapter 629. The air in the hall seemed to have solidified. A pin drop could be heard. No one moved. When Chu Li disappeared, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. They looked at Meng Chengfan mockingly and shook their heads. Their mouths were loud, but they were also cowards. They were even more annoying than those who kept quiet and played dead. They all vented their anger on Meng Chengfan, their eyes full of ridicule and mockery. Meng Chengfan gritted his teeth. The veins on his hands were visible. He was still exerting force, competing with himself. His rationality told him that he should not move recklessly lest he caused trouble for the Green Hill. Chu Li's identity was the chief of Glory'sville Courtyard, an important figure in the E-Public House, and also the Centurion of the Secret Guardians Hall. If he were to make a move, not only the Secret Guardians Hall, the E-Public House would not sit idly by. The last time Greenhill joined forces with the other four factions to attack the E-Public House, they only suffered a small lesson. Although it hurt their vitality, it was much lighter than the annihilation of the Huanjian sect. The E-Public House must not be satisfied, but they were forced by the situation. They did not want to be entangled, so they only taught a lesson and stopped. Now that the E-Public House had recovered, Greenhill's vitality was greatly damaged. The E-Public House was probably eyeing them. If he made a move, it would give them an excuse. If he really made a move on Chu Li and provoked the E-Public House's revenge, he would become a sinner of Greenhill. However, deep down in his heart, he was filled with indignation and anger. He was angry at himself for being a coward and at Chu Li. He wanted nothing more than to slap Chu Li to death. Oh, right. A white shadow flashed. Chu Li suddenly appeared and smiled. You received the letter. You should write me a reply, so you can report to His Royal Highness. Thank you. Everyone was shocked. This time it was quiet. Everyone's attention was not divided. They still did not notice Chu Li's approach. They did not see how he appeared in front of them. Such cultivation level, such light body technique. It was terrifying. Meng Chengfan clenched his fists even tighter. He glared at Chu Li. He gritted his teeth and said word by word, Chu, don't. Bully. People. Too much. Chu Li raised his eyebrows. He was surprised. What do you mean? I sent a letter and asked for a certificate. Is that too much? No. Meng Chengfan snorted. Chu Li shook his head. Then I won't be able to answer to His Royal Highness. Even if His Royal Highness doesn't suspect that I didn't deliver the letter, he would still think that I didn't do things properly and would inevitably reprimand me, right? Meng Chengfan laughed coldly. He was delighted. Thinking about how he had been scolded, it was too delightful. Chu Li sighed. Looks like you're going to make me unhappy. Whatever you think. Meng Chengfan humphed. In any case, I won't write a reply. Chu Li looked at him gently. Could it be that there's something that you can't say, that you can't leave the letter? No. Meng Chengfan turned his head and said impatiently. So, you did it on purpose? Chu Li asked calmly. That's right. Meng Chengfan said coldly, I won't write a reply. What do you want? Chu Li sighed. I've always been particular about persuading people with reason, and I value peace in everything. However, there are always people who bring this upon themselves and want to die by my hand. Whenever I encounter someone like that, I can only fulfill their wish. You want to make a move? Meng Chengfan laughed coldly and said disdainfully, This is Greenhill, not the E-Public House. It's not a place where you can behave atrociously. We won't allow you to be so unbridled. Chu Li laughed and glanced at the crowd. He smiled and said, Looks like you want to tie everyone to him and send them to their deaths together. Everyone's faces darkened. Chu Li's words showed that he did not respect them at all. If they continued to ignore such humiliation, they would really be too ashamed to face anyone. Even if they did not make a move today, they had to. However, their hearts kept sinking. It was widely rumored that Chu Li was extraordinarily intelligent. Since he was extraordinarily intelligent, his reaction to Meng Chengfan was like this. It seemed like he had the same thoughts as Meng Chengfan, to tie them to him and die with him. It was obvious that he had the intention to kill, and he was full of confidence. Forget it. Chu Li suddenly sighed. It's easy to kill you, but it's a sin to kill everyone. I'll take a step back and take a token, right? Everyone secretly sighed in relief. No, Meng Qingfan said coldly. Everyone immediately tensed up and cursed in their hearts. Chu Li sighed and shook his head. Then I'll have to take it myself. In a flash, he disappeared from where he stood and appeared behind Meng Qingfan. Meng Qingfan realized that something was wrong and threw a punch behind him. Bam! Chu Li's fist collided with his. Chu Li stood where he was while Meng Qingfan took 2 steps back. His face flushed red. A strange fist force drilled in and devoured his inner energy like a whirlpool. No matter how hard he tried to drive it away, the devouring became faster and faster. Chu Li took a step forward and hit his chest with his palm. Bam! Meng Qingfan's movements were interrupted. He froze and stood still like a statue. Chu Li reached out and pulled his waist tag off. He lowered his head and looked at it. It was a palm-sized white jade waist tag with the word Meng carved on one side and the words Green Hill carved on the other. It was extravagant and extraordinary. Chu Li smiled. Why did you have to do this? Why didn't you just give it to me? Everyone, farewell. He gave everyone a fist salute and smiled before disappearing. Everyone looked at Meng Qingfan with a dark expression. Uffed, Meng Qingfan suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell backward. A Green Hill master quickly reached out to support him. Senior Meng. Meng Qingfan's face quickly paled and his complexion visibly turned gray. Quick, look at his injuries. Someone shouted. They were somewhat gloating. No one could do anything about it, since he was courting death. He deserved to be injured. If Chu Li had not held back, they would have been the ones injured too. The Green Hill master touched Meng Qingfan's wrist with a dark expression. Meng Qingfan coughed violently and started laughing as he panted. Elder Meng! Ha! My martial arts has been crippled. Meng Qingfan laughed. That's impossible, right? Someone cried out. Meng Qingfan turned his head and glanced at them. He laughed. A bunch of cowards. Everyone was a little embarrassed, but secretly felt lucky. Chu Li crippled Meng Qingfan in 2 moves. If it were them, how many moves could they have dodged? Quick, help Elder Meng down to rest. The round-faced middle-aged man shook his head and sighed. If his martial arts is crippled, he can just cultivate again. It's no big deal. As long as he's fine. That's not much different from being killed. Someone shook his head. They could imagine the feeling of having their martial arts crippled, especially to grandmasters like them. Without martial arts, it was like falling from the clouds into the mud. It was a fate worse than death. Sigh. Everyone sighed to themselves. They all thought that Elder Meng was asking to be humiliated and brought this upon himself. Chu Li originally had no intention of making a move. It was Meng Qingfan who provoked him time and time again. He wanted to drag everyone along to make Chu Li stay, but all his schemes ended up like this. Cowards, a bunch of cowards. Meng Qingfan turned his head and glared at them, laughing loudly. His heart was filled with hatred. These people did not have any of the courage of the martial arts world. They were all cowards. All right, quickly let Elder Meng down. The round-faced, middle-aged man shook his head. He's already so old, yet he's still acting like a young boy. The more courageous he is, the earlier he dies. Acting recklessly without judging the situation is asking for death. They saw Meng Qingfan's fate and were glad for their wisdom. Chapter 630. P.S. I'm really sorry it's late again. He felt that he was at his limit. He wrote slower and slower. Every time he saw other authors writing 2 chapters a day, he wanted to give up on 6 chapters. But when he thought of everyone's support, he wanted to grit his teeth and persevere. When Chu Li appeared in front of Lu Xing and the others, the sky was already bright. Lu Xing and the others were meditating at the top of the canyon, bathing in the bright morning sun. Head Chief, so fast! Lu Xing and the others were surprised. Chu Li passed the jade pendant to Lu Xing. This is a token from the Green Hill. It's proof that you delivered the letter. Did the head chief sneak it over? Lu Xing smiled, sneaking the letter into the main hall of Green Hill, then stealing a jade pendant without a sound or trace. It's really undetectable. His Royal Highness can't blame us for not delivering the letter. Chu Li smiled. That's a good idea. Did the head chief not use this method? Lu Xing asked. Chu Li shook his head. The Grand Masters from the Green Hill and Feng Huang Mountain are waiting for you to walk into their trap. Fortunately, my light body technique is good. They can't catch up. This saves you a lot of trouble, and you can report back. Sigh. Lu Xing looked at the jade pendant, shook his head, and smiled bitterly. I wonder what His Royal Highness thinks. Chu Li said, if His Royal Highness comes looking for trouble again, just accept it. Don't fight it head on. If it doesn't work, just leave. There's no need to fight it head on. His goal is to force you guys to leave and leave me alone. What does His Royal Highness want? Lu Xing frowned. Is he really going to kill the head chief? Yes, and he's going to kill me with his own hands. Chu Li smiled. This is his only goal now. He's pushing for this goal at all costs. He'll kill anyone who gets in his way. That's crazy. Hui Yuhao sighed. Xiang Feishue smiled. The key is that he suffered too much at the hands of the head chief. He's depressed. Head chief has to be careful of the princess. If he wants to get rid of us, I'm afraid it's because of the princess. Now, the only protector of the princess is Zhu Tianhua. We have to go back as soon as possible. It's useless. Lu Xing shook his head. Even if we go back, His Highness will send us to do other things. We won't be able to protect the princess. Everyone knew that the Wang Fei was the head chief's weakness. If they wanted to deal with the head chief, they had to deal with the Wang Fei first. They were just afraid that the Wang Ye would spread the news and cause another wave of assassinations. While the head chief was busy dealing with the situation, the prince could assassinate the head chief with half the effort. If it really doesn't work, let's protect the princess in secret. Xiang Feishue said, Good idea. Let's not report to the Royal Highness first. Let's wait for a while. Lu Xing nodded and said, Sneak back to the imperial residence and protect the princess. Chu Li smiled and said, The princess will be fine. After 2 days, she will return to the public house to stay for a while. That's great. The 4 of them were overjoyed. Chu Li said, Take care of yourselves. Be careful on the road, and don't get ambushed again. Don't worry, head chief. We will be careful. Lu Xing smiled. Does head chief want to go back first? All right, I'll make a move first, Chu Li said. He waved at the 4 of them and floated away. Chu Li appeared in the Tianshu courtyard. In the Tianshu courtyard, Xiao Shi was taking a walk with Yang Su and Meng Lan beside her. Seeing Chu Li enter, Meng Lan shyly lowered her head. Yang Su smiled and curtsied. Xiao Shi said, What happened last night? She realized that Chu Li was not in the imperial residence last night. Settling some trivial matters, Chu Li said, Lady, it seems that you will have to return to the public house to stay for a while. Trouble again. Xiao Shi frowned and said, What trouble is Prince causing this time? Lu Xing and the others were dismissed. Only Protector Zhu Tianhua is left. Chu Li shook his head and said, If anything happens, Zhu Tianhua will be in danger. This is Prince's plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Xing has also set up an ambush to kill them. Xiao Shi came to the stone table and sat down. She frowned and said, It seems that he wants to eliminate your forces. There will be a big purge in the imperial residence. Chu Li slowly nodded. Xiao Shi said, All right, it's good to return to the public house to take a look. I don't want to stay here for even a second longer. As the two of them spoke, Menglon came over with a teacup. She passed it to Chu Li with her pale hands, looking shy and timid. Chu Li took the teacup and raised his head to look at her. Coincidentally, their eyes met. She hurriedly avoided it. Her beautiful face blushed even more. Xiao Shi gave them a sidelong glance and said unhappily, Menglon is quite perceptive. She has already done a good job. You can bring her back. Chu Li smiled and said, Lady, you lack manpower here. Let her stay here for now. Are you willing? Xiao Shi scoffed. Chu Li said, what's there to be unwilling about? If you don't keep such a beauty by your side, what if she runs away? Xiao Shi smiled faintly. How can you be at ease? Don't say one thing, but mean another. Chu Li smiled and shook his head. Suddenly he frowned. Through the omniscient mirror, he saw a round-faced, tall, and strong monk arrive at the imperial residence. He was about 30 years old. His face was simple and honest. He looked silly. King and Su Ning strode to the entrance of the residence. They closed-fist saluted at the monk standing at the entrance. May I ask if you are a high monk from the Tempest Temple? I am F.A.G. Greetings, Your Royal Highness and revered Sir Su Ning. The monk pressed his palms together and said solemnly, So it's Master F.A.G. My apologies. Please come in and talk. Kingen smiled. He muttered to himself. He did not expect that the monk sent by the Tempest Temple did not know any martial arts. He was just a normal person. He was thinking about a monk with outstanding martial arts. How could someone as smart as F.A. Yuan not know? Yet he pretended to be ignorant and sent someone who did not know any martial arts. Did the Tempest Temple not want to get involved in the matter between him and Chu Li? Did they value Chu Li that much? He looked very passionate on the outside. It was as if he welcomed monk F.A.G. F.A.G. pressed his palms together and said, I don't deserve to be called a master. Just call me by my Dharma name, Your Royal Highness and revered Sir Su Ning, please. Su Ning looked at F.A.G. curiously. The Tempest Temple and the Titanium Temple did not get along. The two sects competed in the dark. Both of them thought that they were Orthodox Buddhism. When the disciples of the Tempest Temple saw him, it was rare that they did not glare at him. However, this F.A.G. was very polite. It was really strange. The three of them came to the main hall and sat down to drink tea. I am a scholar monk in the temple. I do not practice martial arts. F.A.G. put down his teacup and smiled. Regarding martial arts, Your Royal Highness need not ask me. However, regarding the Dharma, I know a thing or two. I will tell you everything I know. It seems that Master F.A.G.'s attainments in the Dharma are extraordinary. Kingen put down his teacup and smiled. F.A.G. shook his head. My Dharma is still far from the elders. My wisdom is far from theirs. The wisdom of the Dharma is boundless. I only know a little bit of it. How many years have the elders studied? How many years have you, Master F.A.G.? When you reach their age, you will definitely be better than the elders. Kingen smiled. F.A.G. shook his head. Learning Buddhism still requires one's aptitude and temperament. It's the same principle. Some people will never understand it in their entire lives. Some people will understand it once they hear it. My comprehension is ordinary. It will not be easy for me to surpass the elders. With Master F.A.G. by my side to teach me, my Dharma will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. I am extremely happy. Kingen said. F.A.G. smiled. If I can help Your Royal Highness cultivate the Golden Lohan's power, it will be a great merit. I will be happy too. With the guidance of the master, I will definitely be able to cultivate it. Kingen smiled. Buddha bless you. Efe, she solemnly pressed his palms together towards the sky. King and also pressed his palms together towards the sky. His expression was solemn. Su Ning looked on quietly. He was unmoved. The Golden Lohan's power was not that easy to cultivate. He had never heard of anyone successfully cultivating it. Efe, she took a sip of tea. Wangya, please give me a quiet courtyard. I usually rest alone. If Wangya is free, you can come to my courtyard for a visit. I will tell you everything I know and will not hide anything from you. All right, I will definitely go to the master's place often. Kingen hurriedly nodded. Then, Your Royal Highness, I will take my leave. Efe, she stood up and pressed his palms together. King and hurriedly pressed his palms together and shouted, Song Sansi. Song Sansi hurriedly entered the basilica. Chapter 631. Watching Efe leave, King En's face darkened as he sat on the armchair. He picked up his teacup and took a big gulp. Su Ning saw through King En's thoughts and shook his head and sighed. King En said, Revered sir, what does the Tempest Temple mean by this? Su Ning said, The Tempest Temple doesn't want to get involved. They might have noticed something. Are they siding with Chuli? King En scoffed. Su Ning said, The head chief and Efe Yuan have a close relationship. Furthermore, the Tempest Temple, and the head chief seemed to have a deeper relationship. Kingen looked at him and slowly nodded. I was thinking too simply. Su Ning said, the Tempest Temple sent people here to show their goodwill and the Golden Lohan's power. However, it won't be easy for the Tempest Temple to take a step further and borrow their power. Your Royal Highness should know where their bottom line is. I finally understand that we can't count on them. Kingen scoffed and said, forget it. Since we can't count on them, we'll have to depend on the one from Green Hill. He shook his head again. I don't know if things are going well at Green Hill. Su Ning was silent. He didn't comment on these sinister methods, but he wouldn't recklessly interfere either. He only brought his eyes and mouth with him. He did not come here to give King an advice. He only wanted to watch his rise and fall, to understand the world of mortals and everything in the world, and to see through power and fame. Kingen said, has young Lide left? Yes, he left yesterday. That's good. Your Royal Highness, you have to be careful of the head chief. Su Ning said calmly, the head chief is wise. He might have seen through your tactics. So what if he did? Kingen said, this is an open plan. I'm using my power to suppress him and take away his position as the head chief. The people in the imperial residence should know where they stand and won't tell him anything. He doesn't have the right to interfere with the transfer of people. I'm suppressing him openly. What can he do? He can't use his position as a centurion to suppress me, right? He might at a crucial time. Su Ning said, that's not a big deal. Suddenly, Princeton revealed a smile. He had shot himself in the foot. Now that the secret Guardians Hall's power has been weakened, they don't dare to mess around in the imperial residence anymore. We still have to thank him. Huh? Su Ning nodded slowly. This was the strangest thing in the world. One moment they were enemies, the next moment they could become colleagues. The word impermanence could best describe the changes in the world. As long as the princess is here, Chu Li will not be able to escape. Kingen said slowly, when the time comes, I will attack together with that obscure cultivator. I don't believe that he can escape. Your Royal Highness, you have to be careful of the head chief's cultivation level, Su Ning said. The head chief's cultivation level is far deeper than you can imagine. Humph, as long as we can grab hold of the princess's weakness, he will be too worried to use 80% of his martial arts. However, Su Ning was not so optimistic. When Chu Li heard this, he smiled. Lady, why don't we leave tonight? You're leaving tonight? Xiao Shi was surprised. Did King and do something bad again? Chu Li said, the protectors are too lax now. It's not safe enough. All right, Xiao Shi nodded slowly. Let's go. Let Yang Su and the others come with us. Chu Li nodded. What about Meng Lan? Xiao Shi frowned. Let's go together. Chu Li said, so that I won't be distracted. That's fine. Xiao Shi nodded and scoffed. Why don't you come back too? Once you leave, no matter how many tricks he has up his sleeve, he won't dare to attack the House of High Dukes, right? There's no rush. Chu Li shook his head and smiled. I can leave any time. All right, up to you. Xiao Shi rolled her eyes. Xiao Shi ordered Yang Su to pack up, and Chu Li sent them back to the Island of Symphony. The next morning, King and was cultivating in the cultivation courtyard. Su Ning was not there. Fei Shi stood at the side with his palms pressed together. His face was solemn. He was mumbling and chanting in a low voice. King did not force Su Ning. The Tempest Temple and the Titanium Temple did not get along. It would be hard for Su Ning to face Fei Shi all the time. When he was cultivating, he would let Fei Shi be beside him. Your Royal Highness. Song Sansi's voice came from outside. What's the matter? King was practicing his fist technique. His fists were strong and fierce. A strong wind surged. The surrounding flowers and grass swayed violently with the force of the fist, as if a strong wind blew. The princess seemed to have left the residence last night. Song Sansi said. Which princess? Kingen scoffed. Princess Seo. Yes. Song Sansi said. Kingen frowned and stopped. Come in. Song Sansi lowered his head and stepped into the cultivation courtyard. He strode in front of King and closed fist saluted. King and impatiently waved his hand. When did she leave? I don't know, Song Sansi said. When I woke up this morning, I realized that there was no one in the Tianshu courtyard. Kingen glared at him. Useless. Song Sansi lowered his head and did not say a word. Call Chief Chu here, Kingen said in a low voice. Yes, Song Sansi hurriedly replied and left. Kingen turned around and saw Fag. He smiled. I've embarrassed myself in front of the great master. Fag smiled honestly and continued chanting in a low voice. Chu Li pushed the door open and entered. His white robe fluttered. He closed fists, saluted, smiled apologetically. Yesterday, I sent the Royal Highness too late. I didn't want to disturb your Royal Highness. He asked coldly. I was going to report the princess this morning. The princess returned to the High Duke's public house. She wanted to return yesterday to the High Duke's to visit her relatives to recuperate. How long? Kingen scoffed. He was furious, but he suppressed his anger and did not show it on his face. Chu Li said, It depends on how she recuperates. At least a month, at most a year. If your Royal Highness is worried, you can visit her at the High Duke's public house. It's nothing serious. She just feels weak and weak all over. Good. She fell sick at the right time. Kingen suddenly laughed and stared at Chu Li sarcastically. Chu Li nodded and said, The princess is actually angry. The Royal Highness did not inform the princess when he transferred the protectors away. The princess did not know that the princess was in danger. The princess said that since there are no protectors in the imperial residence, there are plenty of protectors in the public house. King and faintly felt that something was wrong. He pondered for a moment and frowned. What does the princess mean? Chu Li said. The princess said that since the imperial residence is so short of protectors, she will share your Royal Highness's burden. She will bring a few protectors from the High Duke's public house to prevent your Royal Highness from transferring the protectors away. King En's face darkened. He said coldly, The princess worries too much. I have an urgent matter. That's why I transferred the protectors from the Tianshu courtyard. They will be back in a few days. There's no need for the princess to bring more protectors from the High Duke's public house. The arrival of the protectors from the High Duke's public house was like a nail in the imperial residence. Just thinking about it made him uncomfortable. The protectors from the High Duke's public house would only listen to the princess and Chu Li. All his plans would fail. Chu Li would no longer have any weaknesses. Chapter 632. He took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. Lu Xing and the others are going out to handle an important matter. They will be back soon. When they return, they will not be assigned anything else. They will stay in the Tianshu courtyard. His priority now was to get rid of Seo Shi's idea. If she really entered the imperial residence, there would be endless trouble. Once there were protectors from the House of High Dukes, Seo Shi would have more confidence. Chu Li would be the same. It would take more effort to make a move on them. Chu Li shook his head. I can't make the decision on this matter. It depends on the princess. Then, how can I not bring the protectors? Prince En's face slowly calmed down and said gently, If the protectors from the House of High Dukes come, wouldn't it be telling everyone that I am powerless to protect the princess? I will lose face, and everyone's face won't look good either, right? Chu Li nodded and smiled. Your Royal Highness is right. Prince En let out a smile. Chief Chu Li, you are very understanding. Try to persuade the princess. Chu Li shook his head. Unfortunately, I don't have the final say. It still depends on the princess. Princeton wanted to kill him with a palm, but he squeezed out a smile. The only one who can persuade the princess is you, Chief Chu. Just put in a few good words in front of her, and I'll owe you a favor. Chu Li said, I dare not. All right, since your Royal Highness is so sincere, I will try. It's hard to say if I can persuade her or not. I can only try my best. Your Royal Highness, you know how stubborn the princess is. Princeton squeezed out a smile. No matter how stubborn the princess is, she will not be able to resist Chief Chu Li's persuasion. I will leave everything to you. I will reward you after this. Chu Li smiled. Thank you, Your Royal Highness. I will try my best. The two of them talked hypocritically. Fa, she shook his head at the side. The two of them were scheming against each other to this extent. Just like what Junior Fa Yuan said, it was better to stay out of it. It was best to pretend not to know. He sighed to himself. Chu Li was so strong, and Prince and was so intolerant. As the saying goes, a mountain cannot accommodate two tigers. One of them would have to leave. From the looks of it, it could only be Chu Li. With the loss of such a talent, the imperial residence of Prince and would suffer a great blow. Losing a great general because of a moment of pleasure, such a lack of tolerance, King An's achievements would be limited. Perhaps he would not be fated to be the emperor. Fa Ji looked simple and honest on the outside, but he was a man of great wisdom who appeared to be slow-witted. His foresight was outstanding. He could see through the situation and the future with just one glance. He shook his head to himself. It seemed like the temple did not need to provide any help to King An. It was a pity that he could not be helped up. Chu Li said, Your Royal Highness, I intend to return to the public house to persuade the lady. How many days are you going back? King An asked. Chu Li shook his head. It depends on the situation. I'll try my best to come back as soon as possible. I've been busy at the Secret Guardians Hall. All right. Princeton said, try to persuade the princess to come back. After all, she's from the imperial residence. It's not appropriate for her to stay in the public house. Yes. Chu Li closed fist saluted and nodded. He smiled at Fa and pressed his palms together before leaving the cultivation courtyard. Fa lowered his head and closed his eyes, muttering Buddhist scriptures. Princeton took a deep breath and suppressed his raging anger. Chu Li, it must have been Chu Li who instigated the princess to return to the High Duke's public house. What a despicable villain! In that case, his plan might not work. A hermit cultivator, and I might not be able to kill him. However, if the princess did not bring the protectors from the House of High Duke, everything would still be possible. The night was hazy. Chu Li was practicing his swordsmanship in the courtyard. He wanted to fuse the cloud slashing sword technique with the 7 forms of godly sword. He needed to do it bit by bit, but he had not been able to complete it. His power had increased greatly, but it was still a distance away from what he had hoped for. He needed to immerse himself in practicing hard. Other than swordsmanship, he also needed to practice fist techniques. The divine light fist needed to be carefully studied to become more proficient. When that time came, he would be able to throw a few punches at once. This way, the power would be even more shocking. He suddenly stopped and turned his head. Lu Yurong was dressed in a bluish-white gown. Her face was covered with a white veil, just like a fairy. Chu Li suddenly stabbed with his sword. Ding! A crisp sound was heard. She bent her finger and lightly flicked the tip of the sword. Chu Li sheathed his sword. A bone-chilling current came from the sword. The heavenly demonic orb instantly appeared and swallowed it. Congratulations! Chu Li smiled. Your cultivation level has improved greatly. I just came out of isolated cultivation. Lu Yurong gently took off her veil and revealed her face. Her face was like white jade, crystal clear and warm. Her eyes were like cold stars, shining brightly. She looked at Chu Li and smiled. "How is it?" Chu Li praised. "Not bad." Lu Yurong glanced at him. She was very flirtatious and said, "Still not as good as you." Her Empyrean fairy power had improved a level, and her inner energy was like ice. However, looking at Chu Li's expression, it was obvious that he was not affected. If he could dissolve her inner energy, it meant that he was a level higher than her. Chu Li stretched out his hand and sat beside the stone table. He sheathed his sword. Lu Yurong elegantly sat opposite him. A faint fragrance lingered around her. "I heard that King N's martial arts has recovered and even improved," Lu Yurong said lightly. Chu Li smiled bitterly. Lu Yurong said, "Abolishing martial arts is a shocking change for ordinary martial arts sections. It's nothing to the disciples of major sections. The life-returning pill from the Tempest Temple has such an effect. Green Deer Cliff is even more skilled in medicinal pills. The primary heaven pill is even more powerful." Chu Li said, "I didn't expect him to have a relationship with Green Deer Cliff. The spirit herbs needed to recover martial arts are getting rarer and rarer. Every time you use one, there will be one less. Most of them can't be cultivated by humans." Lu Yurong said, "That's why it's still very valuable. The primary heaven pill and life-returning pill are even more so. It seems like he has a close relationship with Green Deer Cliff." Chu Li slowly nodded. "I'm going back to the public house," Lu Yurong said. Chu Li was surprised. Lu Yurong said, "Fairy's capital is good, but it's not a place to stay. I should go back." Chu Li smiled. "Is there something you need? You don't come to me without a reason. If there's nothing, you wouldn't have come to say goodbye." Lu Yurong looked at him flirtatiously and scoffed. "That's right. I need your help." "Tell me about it." Chu Li leaned forward and was inches away from her delicate face. Lu Yurong did not hide. She glared at him and scoffed. "My second brother has fallen in love with a woman and wants to marry her." "Lu Yushu?" Chu Li laughed. "He's a playboy. He's extremely lustful. How can he marry a woman?" "Everything has its weakness," Lu Yurong said. Chu Li said, "Do you want me to break them up? Or to teach Lu Yushu a lesson?" "I think there's something wrong with this woman." Lu Yurong frowned and shook her head, "but I can't find any flaws. You should go and take a look." Chu Li was in charge of Glories, Courtyard. He was still the chief of Glories, Courtyard in a public house. He was an expert in observing people's hearts and finding traitors. His ability in this area was above her. That was why she needed his help. Chu Li chuckled and leaned back to put some distance between them. Lu Yurong looked at him and knew she had to do something. She stared at him coldly. "Tell me, what's your condition?" Chu Li smiled. "It's nothing much. Help me kill someone." "If it's Kingen, then forget it," Lu Yurong scoffed. Chapter 633. Lu Yurong scoffed. "All right then, tell me, who do you want to kill?" "Nothing good ever comes out of you. You're always killing people." Chu Li laughed. "It's not that I want to kill. It's someone else who wants to kill me. So I have to make the first move." "All right, tell me, who do you want to kill this time?" Lu Yurong stared at him with her bright eyes. Chu Li said, "This time, Kingen found a hermit from the Green Hill to kill me. We'll take care of him first. We'll make the first move." "Hermit?" Lu Yurong frowned. "King N is really capable to find someone like that." Hermit were grandmasters, but these grandmasters lived in seclusion, working hard to break through to enlightened mastery similar to monks or Taoists, ignoring the affairs of the mortal world. These hermit all swore that they would not leave the mountain until they became enlightened mastery. Therefore, to make these hermit leave the mountain, they had to pay a high price. Even so, there might not be any hermit who would leave the mountain. They were used to living in seclusion and did not want to get involved in any grudges or trouble for their descendants. Chu Li said, "This hermit is near the end of his life. He wants to perish together with me. Can the two of us take him down?" Lu Yurong frowned. "If we really perish together, we might not be able to stop him." A grand master who was nearing the end of his life must have a profound cultivation level. If such a grand master perished together, it would be earth-shattering. Although they were strong, they might not be able to escape unscathed. "No matter how strong he is, can he stop the two of us?" Chu Li smiled. "As long as you don't hold me back and purposely harm me." "It's fine if you don't trust me," Lu Yurong said impatiently. "Are you going or not?" "When can we leave?" Chu Li asked. Lu Yurong said, "Any time, tonight?" "No problem." Chu Li smiled. "Great. I like working with you because you're so straightforward. You don't hesitate." "I don't like working with you." Lu Yurong scoffed. She actually liked working with Chu Li too. They did not need to say much to each other. They knew what each other wanted to do with just a glance. Their teamwork was perfect. They could unleash their cultivation level to the maximum. Chu Li stood up, his left hand holding the sword, his right hand extended. Lu Yurong glared at him and walked closer to him, allowing his large hands to wrap around her waist. Her body stiffened, and she felt awkward. Chu Li's hand felt exceptionally hot as he placed it on his waist. Traces of heat flowed out from his palm and into his body. His ice-cold body felt as if it had melted. He felt so soft that he could not exert any strength. If he harbored evil intentions and wanted to harm him, it would be very difficult to resist. She felt awkward and strange about this kind of feeling, but she didn't show it on her face. She looked calm and indifferent, as if she didn't care. The two of them disappeared into the courtyard. Zhang Lide and an old man with white eyebrows and beard were riding slowly on the official road. The bright moon in the sky was like a jade wheel, slowly sprinkling down its clear radiance, and the cries of insects rose and fell in the surroundings, adding a bit of liveliness to the silent night. The old man was dressed in a loose linen robe. His tall stature was not burly, and he looked emaciated like a lazy, sick tiger. He sat on the horse, moving up and down along with the horse's back. His eyes were slightly closed, and he didn't speak. He looked like he was about to die, and he was lethargic. Zhang Lide followed beside him and didn't speak. Most of the time, they traveled in silence. He knew that the old man, Zhou Kong, did not like to talk much. "Elder Zhou, let's take a break. It won't be too late to continue our journey tomorrow." Zhang Lide said, "We're not in a hurry anyway." He saw a road in the forest beside the road that led to a post pavilion. Zhou Kong opened his eyes and nodded lightly. "All right." The two of them turned their horses into the forest and rode to the front of the pavilion. There were two young men meditating in the pavilion. One had a long and thin face. The other had a round face. They were both dressed in embroidered clothes, and they had an extraordinary bearing. Hearing the sound, the two young men opened their eyes and looked at them cautiously. They felt a surging power approaching, as if it could swallow them at any time. The two young men were innate masters, and their senses were sharp. They knew that the two people in front of them were grandmasters. The long and thin-faced young man pulled the round-faced young man and quickly got up and closed-fist saluted. "Seniors, do you want to rest? Please come in, let's go outside." Zhou Kong glanced at the two of them and said lightly, "Forget it, let's sit together." Zhang Lide scoffed. "Sit down?" The two young men quickly responded and sat down with a smile. Zhang Lide said, "Who are you?" were the disciples of the Ling Long Pavilion. The long and thin-faced young man quickly answered. The Ling Long Pavilion. Zheng Lai nodded lightly and said lightly, "How's pavilion leader Wu recently?" The pavilion leader just came out of isolated cultivation, and his martial arts has improved greatly. The long and thin-faced young man smiled. Zheng Lai nodded and turned to look at Zhou Kong. "Elder Zhou, do you want to eat something?" "No need, young Zheng. If you're hungry, you can eat by yourself." "I'm old, my appetite is very small," Zhou Kong said calmly. "I'm not hungry either," Zheng Lai smiled. The two young men did not say a word and treated him as heir. In front of grandmasters, young and promising heroes like them were not worth mentioning. Zheng Lai said, "Both of you are innate masters at such a young age, so you're considered heroes. You must have a high position in the Ling Long Pavilion, right?" "Yes, we're the official disciples of the pavilion leader," the two answered respectfully. Zheng Lai nodded and said, "Pavilion leader Wu's ability to guide disciples is very high. The Ling Long Pavilion has hope to rise." The two young men smiled and closed fists saluted. "Thank you for your auspicious words, Senior." Zhou Kong had already sat cross-legged and closed his eyes as if he had fallen asleep. Zheng Lai was not sleepy at all. He wanted to find someone to chat with to pass the time. So he continued, "Since you're from the Southern martial arts world, you must have heard of the White Shroud Chief." The two of them became energetic. The round-faced young man quickly nodded. "Yes, the White Shroud Chief is famous. We've heard of him too. He's like thunder piercing our ears." "Have you seen him?" Zheng Lai asked. The two of them shook their heads helplessly. "Unfortunately, I haven't seen him either." Zheng Lai shook his head and said, "I'd really like to meet him if I have the chance. I heard he's very young." "Yes," the round-faced young man said excitedly. "I heard he's about the same age as us. It's really shocking." "He's a young hero," Zheng Lai sighed. He thought of the head chief Chu Li, Dufeng of the South, and Chu Li of the North. He knew how powerful the head chief was to be able to be as famous as the head chief. One could imagine how powerful he was. "Yes, only the White Shroud Chief is a true young hero. We're nothing." The skinny, long-faced young man smiled and said, "Unfortunately, we don't have the chance to meet him. I heard he's hidden in the Snow Lunar Pavilion." "Someone from the Snow Lunar Pavilion?" "Someone said there's someone in the Snow Lunar Pavilion that the White Shroud Chief likes." That's possible." Zheng Lai smiled and said, "The Snow Lunar Pavilion is full of great beauties." The two young men smiled. "Your Ling Long Pavilion is not bad either." Zheng Lai smiled and said, "The female disciples are also very beautiful." The two young men shook their heads. The skinny, long-faced young man said, "Although our junior and senior sisters are beautiful, they're still far from the Snow Lunar Pavilion. Now that the Snow Lunar Pavilion has the White Shroud Chief, they're even more proud. No one dares to provoke them." Zheng Lai nodded slowly. "The White Shroud Chief." He suddenly turned his head and saw under the moonlight Chu Li and Lu Yurong descending from the treetops side by side, silently and slowly walking over. Zheng Lai's expression changed. He quickly stood up. "Head Chief." Chapter 634. Zheng Lai groaned in his heart. He had been worried about this along the way. He was afraid that the head chief would come and deal with Zhou Kong in advance. The head chief had always taken the initiative to gain the upper hand. He would not wait helplessly for his death. His worries came true. He really did come. He smiled bitterly and said, "Head chief, this is Zhou Kong. Senior Zhou." Zhou Kong felt the turbulent energy approaching. He looked at Chu Li and Lu Yurong and stood up calmly. He closed fists, saluted, and said, "I'm Zhou Kong." "Commander Zheng, you should leave." Chu Li smiled. Zheng Lai said, "Head chief, why?" "Senior Zhou is here to kill me, right?" Chu Li turned to Zhou Kong. "I'm Chu Li." "Yes." Zhou Kong nodded slowly. The two young men were shocked. They wished they could disappear right now. Du Feng in the south and Chu Li in the north. This was Chu Li. As expected, he was about the same age as them, but he was as imposing as the mountain and the sea. His aura seemed to be crushing them. It felt like they could not take one hit. He lived up to his reputation. This was a battle between grandmasters. It was best for the 2 and 8 masters to stay far away. Once they were affected, a palm energy could kill them. However, the timing was not right. They were already at daggers drawn. If they were to bid farewell now, they were afraid that it would ignite the fire. If it exploded, the 2 of them would really die. It was better to wait and act according to the situation. Although they were afraid, they were slightly excited. It was a battle between grandmasters. It must be a grand scene. Moreover, it was Chu Li in the north who had the most prominent influence in the martial arts world. When they returned to the Ling Long Pavilion, they would definitely be surrounded by everyone to listen to their legendary experience. Chu Li said, "Senior Zhou, you don't have any thoughts of changing your mind?" Zhou Kong shook his head. "My grandson has received King En's kindness. I have to repay it. I can only take out my old bones. I hope Chief Chu can forgive me." Chu Li sighed. "I have no grudges with Senior Zhou. Do I really have to kill you? The situation is pressing. You can only blame yourself for offending King." And Zhou Kong said slowly, "I've wronged you by killing you to repay your kindness. Unfortunately, it's difficult to have it both ways. I can only choose one." Chu Li nodded slowly. "If that's the case, if I take Senior Zhou's life, you won't blame me? If my skills are inferior to yours, I have nothing to say." Zhou Kong nodded slowly with a calm expression. Chu Li smiled and turned to look at Zheng Lide. "Commander Zheng, have you made up your mind?" "Head Chief, if I leave now, how am I going to explain it to His Royal Highness?" Zheng Lide said helplessly, "I can't just stand there and do nothing, can I?" "That's true." Chu Li nodded lightly. In a flash, he appeared behind him and pressed his palm down as fast as a ghost. As soon as Zheng Lide saw Chu Li disappear, he felt that something was wrong and hurriedly raised his fist to meet him. Bang! Like a muffled thunder. The 2 youths only felt their blood boiling, and they wished they could cover their ears. A strong gust of wind rose from the flat ground, causing the surrounding grass and leaves to fly into the air and shoot towards both sides. The surrounding trees rustled as if a strong gust of wind was blowing past. Zheng Lide staggered 3 steps back. He felt the palm force enter his body and grow rapidly, interfering with the circulation of his inner energy. By the time he stabilized his body and channeled his energy, Chu Li's fist was already at his chest, not giving him any time to react. Bang! Zheng Lide was punched in the chest and sent flying. Bang! He crashed into a pine tree and slid down softly. Pine needles rustled and fell, covering his head and shoulders with a layer of pine needles. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. Chu Li nodded in satisfaction. "Now you have an excuse not to exert yourself, right?" "Head Chief." Zheng Lide smiled bitterly and wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth. His face was pale. His internal organs were displaced, and he was severely injured. Even with miraculous pills, he could not be healed in a short period of time. He would need half a month to recover, not to mention the severe pain in his body. The 2 disciples of the Ling Long Pavilion secretly shuddered. They did not even see Chu Li's figure clearly. If it were them, they would not be able to take even one hit. Chu Li turned his head to look at Zhou Kong. Zhou Kang's snow-white hair and eyebrows, as well as his beard, danced lightly as if he was floating on water. His coarse robe fluttered, and it was as if his entire body was in a huge, turbulent whirlpool. The grass and leaves floated up from the ground and danced around his body. The two young men could not help but retreat. They were continuously pushed back by an invisible force. After rolling out of the gazebo, they were even pushed outwards. They staggered for 20 steps before they could stand still. Their backs were against the pine tree. The two of them looked at each other and were overwhelmed with shock. Chu Li turned to Lu Yurong. "Looks like we have to risk our lives too." Lu Yurong wore a white veil. Her bluish-white gown was flawless under the moonlight. Her bright eyes were like cold stars, shining brightly. She chuckled. "It's time to risk our lives. Don't hold back." "Of course," Chu Li said in a deep voice. A ray of light from the sky suddenly fell on Lu Yurong and was absorbed by her. Her bluish-white gown fluttered without wind. Her eyes gradually lost their emotions. There was no sadness or joy. She looked down at everything coldly and indifferently. Her forehead that was exposed above the veil was emitting a warm luster, as if it was carved out of white jade. Her body was surrounded by an otherworldly fairy energy. The heavenly demonic orb fell into his precordium. Chu Li did not seem to have changed. His body was surging with immense power. The spiritual energy from all directions surged in and circulated along the route of the cloud's slashing power. In the blink of an eye, he completed a circulatory cycle. His spiritual energy became purer with every circulation. His spirit was strong. The speed at which his inner energy circulated was far beyond that of ordinary people. When he transformed into a heavenly demon, his spirit became stronger, and his inner energy circulated even faster. In a flash, he completed a circulatory cycle and reached a horrifying level. Chu Li took a step forward. It was as if the ground had shrunk to an inch. He took a leap and arrived in front of Zhou Kong. He threw a punch. Bang! Zhou Kong countered with his palm. There was a muffled explosion, like thunder. Chu Li did not take a step back. Zhou Kong stood firmly on the same spot with a calm expression. The two disciples of the Ling Long Pavilion quickly covered their ears. Their blood was boiling, and they almost vomited blood. Lu Yurong moved gracefully and appeared behind Zhou Kong. She lightly pressed her palm down. Bang! Zhou Kong countered with another palm. Chu Li threw another punch, while Zhou Kong countered with another palm. Bang, 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 bang. A series of explosions were heard. Zhou Kong frowned. He used his secret skill the moment he came. Because he knew Chu Li's reputation, he planned to kill him here and not go to Fairy's capital. Killing him in Fairy's capital would affect too much. He was afraid that it would bring disaster to his descendants. He felt that no matter how deep Chu Li's cultivation level was, it had only been 2 years. He, on the other hand, had a cultivation level of close to 200 years. He would definitely be better. However, he did not expect that after the battle. He realized that Chu Li's inner energy was pure and deep. It seemed to be endless. He was the first to be unable to hold on. Could it be that he was going to fail miserably today? When he thought about this, he suddenly turned his palm into a claw and grabbed Chu Li's fist. His surging inner energy went in directly, and they fought at close quarters. Chu Li had the same intention too. He allowed him to grab his fist. Lu Yurong swayed lightly and retreated to avoid it. Chu Li smiled. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth gushed in crazily and turned into pure inner energy. Both of them fought without any fancy tricks. Zhou Kang's close to 200 years of cultivation level was indeed profound. He could not wear it off in a short while. They were in a stalemate. Lu Yurong shook her head and lightly threw a palm across the air. Zhou Kong could only stretch out his hand to receive it. However, he did not expect this palm to be empty. The palm energy was light. Zhou Kong could not withstand the force, and the circulation of his inner energy became sluggish. Bang! He flew straight out and spat out a blood arrow in the air. Chapter 635. Zhang Lide was dumbfounded as he watched from the side. He originally thought that it would be an earth-shattering battle that would go on for hundreds of rounds, and it would be difficult to determine the winner. In the end, the head chief might win by a narrow margin because he brought Lu Yurong with him. He had personally experienced Lu Yurong's strength. She was a top-notch master. However, he did not expect that in just a few moves, Zhou Kong would actually be injured under the joint attacks of the two of them, and it seemed like his injuries were not light. The two young men from the Linglong Pavilion also widened their eyes. They were surprised. They did not expect that the Grandmasters would only exchange a few blows. It was not like what they had imagined, where their palms and fists would come and go with surging energy. On the contrary, their fight looked very dull. Compared to the exquisite and splendid moves of the innate masters, they were like people who didn't know martial arts fighting. They were just faster and stronger. That's it. Grandmasters did not need to practice any martial arts at all. They could just use their fists and palms to attack. Chu Li arrived in front of Zhou Kong and looked at him, coughing violently while blood kept gushing out. He said calmly, "Senior Zhou, I'm sorry to have offended you." Zhou Kong raised his head to look at him. He tried his best to stop coughing and panted heavily. Good. Good cultivation. He did not expect Chu Li to have such profound skills after only 2 years of cultivation. Such a genius could very well become an enlightened master. As he thought of this, his eyes lit up. There's hope for you to become an enlightened master. Chu Li smiled and nodded. Yes, I'm working hard to achieve the enlightened mastery's boundary. Zhou Kong coughed violently again. Chu Li patted him on the back and said, "Senior Zhou, I'd like to ask you to swear an oath to return to the mountain and live in seclusion, never to leave the mountain again." Zhou Kong sighed and nodded slowly. He stretched out his hand and swore an oath. Chu Li nodded and closed fist saluted. He walked in front of Lu Yurong. "Let's go." Lu Yurong chuckled. "Do you really believe his oath?" "Of course." Chu Li nodded. "You're a woman. You won't understand the importance men place on oaths." "Nonsense." Lu Yurong scoffed. "There are so many treacherous men. Let's go." Chu Li smiled. "Thank you for your help this time. Let's go." "You know where to go," Lu Yurong said. Chu Li nodded. The 2 young men from the Linglong Pavilion did not move at all. They watched as the couple floated up and stepped onto the treetops like 2 white clouds before disappearing under the moonlight. Their hearts were filled with fascination as they secretly exclaimed, "What an immortal couple! So Chu Li has a woman." Zheng Lide crawled up with difficulty and went to Zhou Kong. "Elder Zhou." Zhou Kong sighed. "Commander Zheng, please go back and report to the Royal Highness that I'm incompetent and not Chu Li's opponent. This time, I've risked my life to fight, and it can be considered as repaying the Royal Highness' kindness. The Royal Highness should not look for me again." "Yes." Zheng Lide sighed. "Elder Zhou, please write a letter to His Royal Highness." "There's no need to believe it." Zhou Kong shook his head and smiled. "Whether the prince believes it or not is up to him." "Elder Zhou?" Zheng Lide hesitated. "If you don't believe me, I won't be able to explain myself when I return." "Your body full of injuries is the best letter." Zhou Kong revealed a smile. "The Royal Highness has a good reputation. I'm sure he'll be more lenient." Zheng Lide smiled bitterly and nodded. "Forget it then." He secretly sighed in his heart. The Royal Highness was lenient on the outside, but strict on the inside. He was generous to outsiders because he wanted fame, but he was extremely strict to his own people. If there was one mistake, he would be punished 5 times, and he could not tolerate any mistakes. He would definitely be unlucky when he returned this time. He turned his head and glared at the 2 young men from the Pavilion of Delicacy, then shook his head. "Don't spread the news, or else I'll kill you even if you hide in the Pavilion of Delicacy. Yes, we don't know anything. We didn't see anything." The long-faced young man nodded immediately. "By right, I should kill you both." Zheng Lide sighed and said, "But for the sake of your pavilion leader, Wu, I'll spare your lives." "Thank you, Elder Zheng." The 2 of them immediately closed fist, saluted, and bowed to thank him. Zheng Lide waved his hand. "Go." "Yes, we'll take our leave." The 2 of them hastily got up and ran out of the forest. When they heard what Chu Li said, they began to feel anxious and afraid. Since the Royal Highness was involved, this should be a fight between the higher-ups. It would be bad if they knew about it. They did not expect to escape the disaster. The 2 of them ran desperately out of the forest like stray dogs. In the evening, the sun was setting. Zheng Lide stood outside king and study room. His pale face was dyed red by the setting sun. After running for a day and a night, he returned to the imperial residence of king and immediately came to see King An. He stood outside the study room for a moment and heard King An's voice coming from inside. "Come in." He bowed and entered the study room. He came in front of King and lowered his head. "Your Royal Highness, I'm incompetent. Where's Elder Zhou?" King An calmly sat at the desk and asked quietly, "Why don't I see Elder Zhou?" "Your Royal Highness, Elder Zhou went back." Zhenglide lowered his head. "Why did he go back?" King An's voice gradually became heavier. "Didn't he agree to help me with this matter?" Zhenglide said. "He met the head chief on the way." The head chief severely injured Elder Zhou. Elder Zhou was too ashamed to see you, Your Royal Highness. He said that it was useless to come here, so he might as well just go back and live in seclusion. Truly, King An frowned and said faintly, "He was alone?" "And Lu Yurong," Zhenglide said. The two of them hooked up. "No wonder." King An scoffed. He knew their martial arts. Lu Yurong's cultivation level was extremely high. Even if his martial arts had multiplied, he might not be able to win against her. "I'm incompetent. First, I was ambushed by the head chief and was severely injured. I could only watch as they worked together to injure Elder Zhou. The head chief forced Elder Zhou to swear a venomous oath to never come out again." Zhenglide said helplessly. "Humph, you're really incompetent," King An said coldly. Zhenglide lowered his head. "Looks like you're injured quite badly." King An looked at his pale face. "Is it real or fake?" Zhenglide quickly raised his head and said, "Your Royal Highness?" King An said coldly, "Only 3 people know that you went to fetch Elder Zhou. You, me, and revered Sir Suning. Other than that, there's no one else. How did Chu Li know that you went to look for Elder Zhou and happened to block his way?" "Your Royal Highness suspects that I informed the head chief?" Zhenglide widened his eyes in disbelief. He felt that something was wrong. The Royal Highness suspected him. Would I inform him? Or would revered Sir Suning tell him? Other than you, who else? King An looked at him lightly. Zhenglide quickly said, "Your Royal Highness, I'm really innocent. How could I tell him?" King An scoffed. "You keep calling him head chief. Don't you know that he's no longer the head chief?" Zhenglide quickly said, "I'm used to calling him that. Your Royal Highness, you know that I'm stupid. How could I do something like that?" "Then tell me, how did he know that you went to fetch Elder Zhou?" King An lightly said. Zhenglide smiled bitterly and shook his head. "Your Royal Highness, I can't explain myself. I really don't know. I didn't tell anyone else. Even the maids and scribes didn't know about my errand. How did the head chief know?" "Because you told him," King An coldly said. Chapter 636. Prince An glanced at Suning, who was in the corner. Suning shook his head lightly. Prince An sighed in relief, and his expression returned to normal. He was also worried that his most trusted subordinate would be bribed and betray him. If that happened, he would not have anyone else he could use. In such a big imperial residence, there was not a single person he could trust. He felt sorry for himself when he thought about it. This was all Chu Li's doing. He was good at buying people's hearts and bewitching them. Almost all the maids, scribes, protectors in the imperial residence, including his concubine and daughter, were on Chu Li's side. He was deserted by his own people. The good reputation that he had built up over the years was gone. Every time he thought about it, he felt an endless desire to kill Chu Li. He wanted to kill Chu Li right now and tear him into pieces to relieve the hatred in his heart. "All right, you're loyal." Prince An scoffed. "You're too careless. Chu Li actually found out. He probably sent someone to follow you in secret. He knows that you're working for me." Yes. Zhenglide nodded vigorously. "Thank you for your trust, Your Royal Highness." "Go." Prince An waved his hand. Zhang lied, hurriedly retreated. After he left the study room, he wiped his sweat. He finally passed the test. It seemed like the head chief's method worked. He only had one thought in his mind. I'm wronged. I'm wronged. I'm really wronged. Now, it seemed like revered Sir Su-ning heard his thoughts and believed him. Sigh. Princeton shook his head and sighed. Revered sir, do you have any other ideas? Su-ning pressed his palms together and remained silent. Princeton smiled bitterly. It seems like we need to slow down. Su-ning nodded. Your Royal Highness is wise. Princeton said, most things in the world don't go your way. Even as a prince, it's difficult for me to kill someone. I want to kill someone, but I can't. I can only bear with it. Thinking about it, being a prince is really boring. Su-ning said gently, the head chief is rank 1. He's intelligent and has outstanding martial arts. If you want to kill someone like that, your Royal Highness will need more patience and stronger martial arts. The key is still to cultivate martial arts. Yes, Princeton sighed. It's better to rely on myself than others. I can't count on others. If I want to kill him, I'll have to do it myself. I've decided to isolate myself again. Your Highness is wise. Su-ning said slowly. Now that monk Fag is here, your Royal Highness will be able to cultivate the Golden Lohan's power with half the effort and twice the result. This is a rare opportunity. The most important thing is to focus on cultivating. When my Golden Lohan's power advances to the next level, I won't need anyone else. I won't need these little tricks to distract him. I'll just kill him directly. Kingen sneered. When that time comes, he'll be able to die in peace. Su-ning nodded slowly. Kingen's tricks were child's play. Chu Li's intelligence was outstanding, so these tricks were child's play in his eyes. Venerable one, who should be in charge of the imperial residence? Kingen frowned. The imperial residence is such a big place. Once I go into isolated cultivation, I won't have time to manage it. I'm afraid there will be trouble. Su-ning shook his head and said nothing. Still Chu Li? Kingen scoffed. Who else? Su-ning sighed. Princeton remained silent. He could imagine that once Chu Li returned to his position as the head chief, his dignity would no longer exist. He would be a joke in the eyes of the people in the imperial residence. He would become a laughingstock, a capricious person. Who would listen to him? Kingen shook his head. No matter what, we can't restore him to his position as the head chief. Su-ning said, we can let the princess take care of it. The princess is the princess. It's her duty. That makes sense. Kingen nodded slowly. This way, it would be the best of both worlds. There was no need to restore Chu Li's position as the head chief. How could Seo manage the imperial residence? She would still need Chu Li to help her. It would be best to let him do it without a title. Chu Li and Lu Yurong appeared in her courtyard in the Ren public house. Her courtyard had 3 entrances. The backyard had a rock garden, a small lake, and a waterside pavilion. It was like a garden. The 2 of them appeared in the pagoda in the backyard. The moonlight was like water. The backyard was very quiet. Her maids were not there. There were only 2 people in the huge backyard. It was quiet all around. Lu Yurong coughed softly. Suddenly, the 9 women fluttered over. Their clothes were as white as snow. They surrounded Lu Yurong, their faces full of joy. Chu Li stood at the side, but was ignored by them. It was as if they did not see him at all. Lu Yurong pursed her lips and smiled. She did not let them greet Chu Li. When the women were done asking questions, she and Chu Li sat in the pagoda. Soon tea was served. The women left the pagoda and disappeared among the flowers. Chu Li laughed. Your 9 maids are not easy to deal with. You are no match for me and them. Lu Yurong said lightly. Chu Li smiled. You can't work together. I can win. Lu Yurong glared at him and did not refute. Chu Li's light body technique was too powerful. He would not let them work together. She said lightly, "You can rest here tonight. Tomorrow, you can meet second brother's woman." Already in the imperial residence, Chu Li asked. Lu Yurong scoffed. "Second brother is quite clever. He knew that we would not agree. So he acted first and asked later. He directly brought her into the imperial residence. Looks like he is really infatuated." Chu Li smiled. To be able to infatuate a playboy like him, this woman is indeed extraordinary. No wonder you are worried. Don't gloat. If there is a problem, don't hide it from me. Of course. Then follow me. Lu Yurong stood up. The two left the pagoda and came to a small courtyard in the backyard. It was a quiet and elegant courtyard. It was very clean and had always been taken care of. "This is where I cultivate in isolation. You can stay here for the night," Lu Yurong said. "Don't touch anything." Chu Li smiled and nodded. Lu Yurong did not say anything more and left. Chu Li entered the courtyard and went straight to the bedroom. The room was decorated warmly and pleasantly. Chu Li lay on the soft bed and thought about why Lu Yurong let him stay here. Logically, this was her private territory. She would not let him stay here. There were many guest rooms in the public house. Why did she not let him stay here? After thinking for a while, he stopped thinking. He could not read Lu Yurong's mind. Thinking too much would be useless. He sat cross-legged and started to cultivate. Lu Yurong was like his name. He was dressed in a white shirt. It was spotless, and he looked handsome. He was elegant and in high spirits. He came to the backyard with a beautiful woman. He saw Chu Li and Lu Yurong sitting in the pagoda. His face suddenly changed, and he cried out, "Why are you here?" Chu Li turned his head and smiled. "Second young Master Lu, long time no see. How have you been?" "Chu Li, why are you here?" Lu Yurong's handsome face darkened, and he shouted angrily, "This is not the public house." Chu Li nodded. "This is the Ren public house. This lady is—" He looked at the beautiful woman. She was only beautiful at first glance. She was prettier than the average person. The more he looked at her, the more beautiful she seemed. It was as if he was slowly wiping away the dust from a gem. He could not help but sigh. This was no ordinary woman. Lu Yurong said, "This is my future sister-in-law, Ji Ruyu." Chu Li closed fist saluted and smiled. "Chu Li greets Miss Ji." Ji Ruyu curtsied and showed a gentle smile. "Chu Li, get out of here." Lu Yurong scoffed. "This is not a place for you." Chu Li smiled. "Second young master, you don't have to be like this. This is not the way to treat a guest." Chapter 637. Chu Li coughed lightly and looked at Lu Yurong. Lu Yurong squinted her eyes and said, "Second brother, Chu Li is my guest." "Little sister, why are you with him again?" Lu Yushu said, unhappily, "You don't know who he is." Lu Yurong said, "I know who he is, but I don't know who Miss Ji is." "What Miss Ji? You should call her second sister-in-law." Lu Yushu said unhappily, "Xiaoyu is your second sister-in-law. Nobody can change that." "Miss Ji, come and sit." Lu Yurong smiled at Ji Ryu. "This is the first time we've met, right?" "Nice to meet you, Miss Lu." Ji Ryu smiled. "I've always heard about you from Yushu, and he admires you very much. He said that women are better than men and defeat all men in the world. You are indeed elegant. Don't listen to second brother's nonsense. He has only seen a few heroes in the world." Lu Yurong waved her hand and glanced at Lu Yushu. "And second brother's words are not reliable. You only need to believe 1 out of 10. She said as she extended her hand. Ji Ryu glanced at Lu Yushu. Lu Yushu scoffed. I'll sit then, what's the big deal? He was secretly nervous. In fact, he was most afraid of his little sister. All his little tricks were useless in front of her. She could see through his thoughts with just a few words and mercilessly ridicule him. She was usually fine, but now in front of Xiaoyu, if she ridiculed him like that, where would he hide his face? He pulled Ji Ruyu to the gazebo and sat opposite Chu Li. Chu Li nodded and smiled, then smiled at Ji Ruyu. Little sister, tell him to get lost. We are a family, and we can sit down and talk. What is he doing? Lu Yushu scoffed and glared at Chu Li. As long as he is here, nothing good will happen. Chu Li smiled. Second young master is too narrow-minded. It was just a slap. You. Lu Yushu's face darkened. Lu Yurong waved her hand. All right, we just met, and you're already quarreling. Why can't we sit down and talk? Miss Ji, where are you from? I was born in Emoshan City. Ji Ruyu smiled. I've been learning in Fenghuang Mountain, and only returned last year. Fenghuang Mountain? Lu Yurong raised her eyebrows and looked at Chu Li. Chu Li smiled. I'm not familiar with Fenghuang Mountain. He had seen the disciples of Phoenix Mountain, but he had never entered Phoenix Mountain. A great disciple from a famous sect. Lu Yurong smiled. But you're going to suffer. Ji Ryu shook her head, lightly, and glanced at Lu Yushu. I'm fine. Lu Yushu revealed a pitiful expression. She only has me now. Her parents are no longer alive, and her peers are also suspicious of her. Lu Yurong smiled and said, love really makes people risk their lives for it. The martial arts factions and the House of High Dukes were enemies, just like a cat and a mouse. Once Ji Ruyu entered the High Duke's public house, she would be cutting herself off from Fenghuang Mountain, and it would be difficult for her to return to the mountain. Even if she returned, the disciples of Fenghuang Mountain would treat her coldly and see her as a traitor. This was different from the Grand Masters serving the High Duke's public house and Fairy's capital. Firstly, a Grand Master's status was transcendent. Secondly, a Grand Master's loyalty to the faction was unquestionable. Lu Yushu scoffed. Little sister, I've finally found a woman I like. Don't you dare mess around. He knew Lu Yurong's way of doing things very well. A woman like Yuru, who entered the public house hastily, would have to go through Lu Yurong's thorough investigation. She would only let her go if she was confirmed to be reliable. Second brother, how did you meet Miss Ji? Lu Yurong smiled. It's rare for you to care so much about a woman. It's a coincidence. We met at a restaurant. Lu Yushu smiled. I went to Mo Mountain Town and happened to see Xiaoyu at a restaurant. I fell in love with her at first sight. Love at first sight. Lu Yurong smiled, faintly. She glanced at Ji Ruyu and smiled. But Miss Ji is indeed beautiful. No wonder second brother likes her. Ha ha. Everyone thinks that Xiaoyu's looks are average. Lu Yushu scoffed proudly. What a shallow person. Chu Li had been holding the white jade cup and playing with it. He seemed to be absent-minded. Lu Yushu pretended not to see Chu Li. It was rare for little sister to be so nice to him. He had to save her some face. Although Chu Li was hateful, and he wanted to slap him to death, he was still little sister's guest. If Lu Yushu were to deal with Chu Li, little sister would be angry, and he would be the unlucky one. Lu Yurong talked to Ji Ruyu for a while and looked at Chu Li. Don't just drink at the side. Say something. Lu Yushu scoffed. Little sister, he knows his place. Just ignore him. Ji Ruyu tugged Lu Yushu lightly. She felt that Lu Yushu's action was inappropriate. Chu Li and Lu Yurong's relationship was not ordinary. If he said anything, he would be provoking Lu Yurong. Lu Yushu shut his mouth and glared at Chu Li. Chu Li looked at Lu Yurong. Do you really want me to be the bad guy? What bad guy? Lu Yushu scoffed. Lu Yurong said, say what you have to say. Chu Li looked at Ji Ruyu and sighed. He shook his head. Forget it. I can't bear to hurt such a beauty. Lu Yurong said impatiently. Say what you have to say. Chu Li smiled. Do I really have to say that Miss Ji is a disciple of the Holy Church of Light, and your second brother knows about it? You with the surname Chu, what nonsense are you talking about? Lu Yushu stood up and pointed at him. What are you trying to do? Chu Li smiled at Lu Yurong. Lu Yurong's face darkened. She looked at Lu Yushu coldly. Second brother, tell me the truth. Lu Yushu put down his hand and pouted. Don't listen to his nonsense. I'll ask you again. Which faction is she from? Lu Yurong's eyes were like cold stars. She stared at Lu Yushu. You're the second young master of the High Duke's public house. All right. Lu Yushu stared at Chu Li hatefully. He gritted his teeth. Xiao Yu is indeed a disciple of the Holy Church of Light. Lu Yurong was so angry that she laughed. Second brother, are you complaining that our public house is not chaotic enough? How dare you provoke a disciple of the Holy Church of Light? I don't care who she is. I like her. Lu Yushu scoffed. Lu Yurong looked at Ji Ruyu. Miss Ji, I'm sorry. Ji Ruyu forced a smile. It's okay. We knew it would be like this. That's why we wanted to hide it for now. We didn't expect that we couldn't hide it from you. Miss Lu, Lu Yurong said, Miss Ji, do you really like second brother, or are you approaching him with an ulterior motive? It was a coincidence that I met Yushu. Ji Ruyu sighed softly. After I found out about his identity, I was prepared to leave. But I really couldn't bear to. If Miss Lu is really against it, I won't force you. I'll leave the great Ji dynasty. Xiao Yu, if you want to leave, I'll go with you. Lu Yushu quickly said. Ji Ruyu shook her head. Chapter 638. Lu Yushu said snappily, I'm not stupid. Of course I won't go to the Li dynasty. Xiao Yu can't leave either. How can the public house accommodate a disciple of the Holy Church of Light? Lu Yurong said snappily, Don't you know what Big Brother will do if he finds out? Don't tell Big Brother. Lu Yushu quickly said, If Big Brother knew, he would definitely break up the couple and chase Xiao Yu away. He couldn't go against Big Brother, just like how a small arm couldn't go against a big leg. Lu Yurong scoffed. Then tell Big Brother yourself. Don't make me. Little sister. Lu Yushu quickly said, Second brother has never asked you for anything since young. Why not? Lu Yurong cut him off. 3 times a day. Lu Yushu shouted angrily, Little sister. Lu Yurong scoffed. I won't hide it for you. Either you tell Big Brother yourself, or I will. Why? Lu Yushu shouted. I want to have a wife. Is it so difficult? Don't you guys always want me to marry a woman? You're not a commoner. You're the second son of the public house. You should know that you can't just choose whoever you want. Lu Yurong said snappily, Let's not talk about whether Miss Ji is good or bad. With her identity, do you know how much trouble there will be in the future? What trouble? Lu Yushu said snappily. Lu Yurong said, What if the imperial court finds out? What if the 4 major sects find out? What if the Holy Church of Light finds out? Which side can you afford to offend? Humph! Why should the public house listen to them? Lu Yushu gritted his teeth. I must keep Xiao Yu. Then you'll be harming her. Lu Yurong scoffed. In the future, the Holy Church of Light will find her and ask her to kill you. Will she agree? If she doesn't, she'll be disobeying orders. She'll be a traitor. She'll be killed by the Holy Church of Light, according to the rules. If she agrees, she'll have to kill you with her own hands. Either one is torture. Lu Yushu stared at Chu Li and said coldly, As long as Chu Li is killed, no one will know Xiao Yu's identity. Chu Li gently played with the white jade cup, shook his head, and laughed. Lu Yushu clenched his fists, his killing intent surged. Lu Yurong sighed. Second brother, can't you use your brain? Does the Holy Church of Light not know the whereabouts of their disciple? As long as Xiaoyu doesn't leave Green Mountain Town, no one will find out. Lu Yushu said, who knows how deep the House of Haiduke is? Besides, apart from the four of us, no one else knows about it. How can paper wrap fire? Lu Yurong shook her head and said, second brother, don't even think about it. If we don't solve the root of the problem, sooner or later, there will be problems. How many years can you live in peace? Ryu sighed softly. I'd better leave. Xiaoyu, you're not allowed to leave. Lu Yushu grabbed her petite hand. Ryu said, actually, I have the same thoughts as Miss Lu. It's just that I've always wanted to be lucky and wanted to stay for a few more days. Now, it's time for me to leave. Lu Yushu hurriedly said, Xiaoyu, if you leave, I'll go with you. Yushu, stop messing around. Ryu shook her head gently and said, once your identity is exposed, the cult will definitely kill you. My words are insignificant, and I can't protect you. Lu Yurong glanced at Chu Li. Chu Li shook his head. There was nothing he could do in such a situation. It was rare to have the best of both worlds in this world. It was usually a difficult choice, and it was not possible to have the best of both worlds. Lu Yurong glared at Chu Li again. Chu Li smiled and said, if it really doesn't work, I can only fake my death to escape. Fake my death to escape? Lu Yushu and Ryu quickly looked at him. Chu Li said, Miss Ji, how does the Holy Church of Light determine the death of a disciple? Is there a jade tag or something like that? Ryu nodded lightly. Yes, there is an identity jade tag. Once the disciple dies, the jade tag will crack. Then it's a little troublesome. Chu Li sighed and said, Miss Lu, it's better if you do it. Lu Yurong said, yes, leave it to me. Lu Yushu hurriedly said, little sister, does this mean that Xiaoyu doesn't have to leave? Let Miss Ji fake her death once. Lu Yurong said, then hide in the residence. But if she doesn't go out, I'm afraid she'll be bored to death. I'll be fine, Ryu said. Chu Li did not say anything else. Lu Yurong said, if that's the case, then there's no rush. It's not too late to fake your death when someone finds out, but that day won't be long. You guys have to be prepared. Of course. Lu Yushu chuckled and said, little sister, then don't tell big brother. Yes, I won't tell big brother for now, Lu Yurong said. Lu Yushu was inexplicably happy, but once he saw Chu Li, his face immediately darkened. Surname Chu, nothing good will come out of seeing you. Chu Li smiled and said, second young master, I've helped you. Help my asterisk, SS. Lu Yushu said snappily, you call this helping? Chu Li said, second young master, are you still hoping to hide it from Miss Lu? It's better to confess now. Humph, this matter is not up to you to criticize. Lu Yushu said snappily, I'm telling you, I will never agree to it. Chu Li raised his eyebrows and looked at Lu Yurong. Lu Yurong pretended not to see him and scoffed, second brother, if you talk nonsense again, I'll change my mind. All right, I can't win you anyway. I'm leaving. Lu Yushu glared at Chu Li fiercely and turned his head and said, Xiaoyu, let's go. Don't mess around with them. Ryu chuckled and bowed at Chu Li, then nodded at Lu Yurong and left with Lu Yushu. Chu Li asked impatiently, what rumor did you make up? The information he read from Lu Yushu's mind shocked him. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. Lu Yurong pursed her lips such a good woman and showed a smile. Likes your second brother. Is Miss Ji that really all right? What's wrong with my second brother? Lu Yurong scoffed. Although he's a little mischievous, he's not a bad person. Not bad. Chu Li sneered. If he's considered a good person, then there are no bad people in this world. If it wasn't because Lu Yushu was too weak and could be killed with one slap, Chu Li would have slapped him long ago to shut him up for Lu Yurong's sake. Lu Yurong said, "Whether he's a good person or a bad person depends on how you judge him. Did she really fall in love with my second brother?" Chu Li nodded. "A good appearance is still very useful. Most women in this world love their appearance, and not their hearts." "That's wrong," Lu Yurong said. Lu Yurong said, "Men in this world are the ones who love women's beauty. Women look at men not only because of their looks. Perhaps Miss G and my second brother's temperament are compatible. Love is truly a wonderful thing. Second brother has changed too. He won't be able to escape from Miss G's palm." Chu Li nodded. "Miss G's tactics are extraordinary." "I'm not afraid of tactics," Lu Yurong chuckled. "No matter how extraordinary she is, she can't be compared to you." Chu Li smiled. "You haven't said what rumor you made up." "Don't talk nonsense. I didn't say anything," Lu Yurong said. Chu Li shook his head. "Do you need to say it yourself? No wonder you want me to sleep here tonight." Lu Yurong rolled her eyes at him. "It's just to deal with my father." Chu Li smiled. "I owe you a favor." Chapter 639. Lu Yushu and Ji Ruyu returned to his courtyard. He asked Ji Ruyu to quickly change her clothes and put on her veil. They wanted to go out and get some fresh air. After being nervous for so many days, they finally felt relieved. They had passed the test of his little sister. All this while, Lu Yurong had not returned to the residence. Over at the fairy's capital, Lu Yushu was on tenterhooks. Ji Ruyu could hide it from his eldest brother, but she could not hide it from his shrewd, powerful, and intelligent younger sister. If his younger sister found out, she would forcefully ask Ji Ruyu to leave, and he would be helpless. In the public house, the one who had the most influence was not eldest brother or father, but youngest sister. Big brother and father's thoughts could be changed with just a few words from little sister. Once little sister said it, even if father and big brother objected, they would still do as she said. The matter between him and Ji Ruyu would ultimately depend on his little sister. As long as his little sister didn't object, his father and big brother wouldn't object either. If his little sister didn't agree, then his father and big brother wouldn't agree either. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that he would be able to pass the test so easily. Not only did he agree to the two of them, they even wanted to help him. This good news made him unable to restrain his excitement. He needed to celebrate. Ji Ruyu said with a smile, "Isn't it too dangerous for us to go out now? What if we meet someone we know? Where did all these acquaintances come from?" Lu Yushu waved his hand nonchalantly. "This is Green Mountain Town. Not just anyone can sneak in. There won't be any disciples of the Holy Church of Light here. Don't worry." "Is it really okay?" Ji Ruyu hesitated. Lu Yushu said, "Besides, you're still wearing a veil. Just don't take it off when we're at the restaurant." "All right." Ji Ruyu also felt stuffy. It was time for her to go out and get some fresh air. Moreover, they had already come up with a plan to fake their deaths. Even if they were discovered, it wouldn't matter. They could just fake their deaths and escape. The two of them dressed up. Ji Ruyu wore a white veil and a pink gown. She looked graceful and graceful, as if she was a woman who did not know martial arts. She walked out of the public house with Lu Yushu. The two of them went shopping and decided to go to the Mountain Beyond Mountain restaurant for lunch and play to their heart's content. As Chu Li and Lu Yurong were haggling over the price, a beautiful maid fluttered over. "My lady, second young master, and Miss G have left the residence." "This second brother?" Lu Yurong shook her head and said, "He's really impatient." Chu Li asked, "Isn't he afraid of running into disciples of the Holy Church of Light? Why would he consider so much when doing things? He's reckless and impulsive." Lu Yurong said helplessly, Fine, let them be. They won't be that unlucky to run into a disciple of the Holy Church of Light the moment they step out. Chuli smiled. If there's really a disciple of the Holy Church of Light, we can make her fake her death. You have any ideas? I have a secret medicine. Lu Yurong said lightly it can make people die for a day and then come back to life. Chu Li's interest was piqued. There's such a secret medicine? Lu Yurong said, the spiritual herb used to make this secret medicine is extinct. It's extremely precious. Don't even think about it. Chu Li said, I'll repay this favor with this secret medicine. What do you want this for? Lu Yurong frowned. Chu Li said, if the second lady really doesn't want to stay in the imperial residence of King An, she can use this to escape. You trust me? Lu Yurong asked. Chu Li could not help but laugh. I trust you the most. Lu Yurong rolled her eyes at him. Looks like you can still use the sky-stealing, sun-shifting technique. She immediately guessed the reason why Chu Li dared to use this. It was not because he trusted her, but because he had confidence in his sky-stealing, sun-shifting technique. Chu Li sighed. I guess I only have one last chance left. Lu Yurong suddenly smiled like a flower. It was dazzling. I'll give you another piece of news. Don't even think about becoming an enlightened master. Heaven's will cannot be disobeyed. It's said that enlightened masters are related to heaven's will. Using the sky-stealing, sun-shifting technique is going against heaven's will. Chu Li frowned as he looked at her. Lu Yurong said, this is my guess, but it's very likely. Heaven's will. Chu Li frowned. Could it be that heaven's will decides who the enlightened masters belong to? More or less. Otherwise, why would there only be two enlightened masters in a country? The emperor and the one with the best martial arts will naturally become enlightened masters. No matter how hard the others try to train, they won't be able to become enlightened masters. Lu Yurong nodded. Chu Li said, before the spirit beasts enter the 100,000 hills, can there be more than one enlightened master? The world of the spirit beasts is different from the world of mortals, Lu Yurong said. In the world of mortals, it's to become an enlightened master. In the world of the spirit beasts, it's to become an enlightened master. That's why many grandmasters enter the 100,000 hills every year. Were there any successful ones? Chu Li asked. Lu Yurong said, even if they become enlightened masters, they can't escape the 100,000 hills. The powerhouses among the spirit beasts are stronger than the enlightened masters. But there were two who managed to escape. Chu Li's expression changed. Can they really become enlightened masters in the 100,000 hills? Yes. Lu Yurong nodded. But they have to escape from the spirit beasts first. It's a narrow escape. Chu Li asked, what happened after they escaped? After that, they lived in seclusion, and there's no news of them. One of them is from the Amethyst Mountain, and the other is from the Green Deer Cliff. Lu Yurong shook her head. Enlightened masters can't simply attack those who are not enlightened masters. Otherwise, they will be punished by the heavens. That's why enlightened masters rarely show themselves and rarely fight. Chu Li laughed. What does it feel like to be an enlightened master? You can't be free, and you're even more restricted. Lu Yurong said, the dignity of enlightened masters cannot be violated. If you offend them and kill them, there will be no punishment from the heavens. If you don't offend them and kill for no reason, there will be punishment from the heavens. The will of the heavens cannot be concealed. It's fair and just. Chu Li slowly nodded. Lu Yurong said, think about what you've done. How many people have you saved from the dead? These are all debts. It'll be difficult for you to become an enlightened master. What if I become the world's first? Chu Li asked. Probably not. Lu Yurong shook her head and smiled. Maybe the second world's first will become an enlightened master. Does that mean I can't save people anymore? Chu Li frowned. Save those you can, but it's better not to save those who are already dead. Lu Yurong said. Chu Li sighed. Looks like I really have no hope of becoming an enlightened master. If he wanted to save people, he would not care if they were dead or not. Then you can only go against the heavens. Lu Yurong said, enter the 100,000 hills. But to become an enlightened master in the 100,000 hills, you need to cultivate your martial arts to perfection. It seems like no one has been able to cultivate martial arts to perfection for more than 1,000 years. Chu Li raised his eyebrows. Lu Yurong said, there are two sources of martial arts in the world. One is the martial arts passed down from the Grandmaster, and the other is the martial arts evolved from the spirit beasts. Cultivate the martial arts of the Grandmaster to perfection and become an enlightened master. Then you can directly ascend to the Grandmaster and cannot stay in this world. Cultivate the martial arts of the spirit beasts to perfection and stay in this world. You can also choose to enter the Grandmaster. Chu Li was deep in thought. He really did not know about this. Chu Li suddenly said, the official disciples of the 4 major sections. Why are they still alive after being killed? Lu Yurong shook her head and sighed. This is the biggest secret of the 4 major sections. Pretending to be profound. The 4 major sects do not teach outsiders. How do you know? How do you know? Chu Li smiled. Lu Yurong rolled her eyes at him. Looks like you don't want to know. Chu Li quickly said, tell me a favor. Lu Yurong said, this secret is worth a favor. Chapter 640. P.S. The 28th Alliance is born. The leader is Love Papet. Lu Yurong smiled. It's actually very simple. They have the Enlightened Master's Elixir. Enlightened Master's Elixir? Chu Li shook his head. Supreme Spirit Medicine? It can save lives? It's similar to Buddhist Sarira. Lu Yurong said, it's left in this world by enlightened masters who have ascended to the Grand Master's boundary. It's called the Enlightened Master's Elixir. What's its use? Chu Li asked. Lu Yurong said, the Enlightened Master's Elixir can form an Enlightened Master's Dojo. It's both real and illusory. When the martial arts of the sect is cultivated to a certain level, it can resonate with the Enlightened Master's Elixir and enter the Enlightened Master's Dojo. Even if the body is destroyed, the soul will still be in the dojo. Doesn't that mean all the disciples of the 4 major sects are immortal? Chu Li frowned. He thought of the pagoda of the Titanium Temple. The Sarira formed a golden light shroud. It was probably the dojo she mentioned. Lu Yurong shook her head. How can there be such a good thing? It's not easy to enter the dojo. The disciples of the 4 major sects rarely go down the mountain because only those who enter the dojo can go down the mountain. After death, the soul will leave the dojo and reincarnate. It's 10 to 100 times harder to cultivate again than ordinary people. The next time they enter the dojo, they'll probably be over 100 years old. They'll be used to the peaceful life in the sect and may not want to go down the mountain. Chu Li nodded slowly. Enlightened masters have such a wonderful use. Otherwise, why are they called the 4 major sects? Lu Yurong scoffed. They all have enlightened masters. Chu Li exclaimed, this is the foundation. Exactly. Lu Yurong said, this is also where their confidence comes from. I thought the martial arts world of the Great Ji dynasty only has around 200 grandmasters. Chu Li shook his head and sighed. Lu Yurong said, more than 200. The strength of the 4 major sects is unpredictable, but they're very strict when it comes to disciple selection. They only choose those who have the potential to step into the Grandmaster's boundary. They won't accept a disciple for more than 10 years. The lifespan of a grandmaster is only around 200 years, so there won't be too many, and for every disciple they accept, a grandmaster will go to the 100,000 hills. Chu Li thought, apotheosis, becoming a god, interesting. You used the sky-stealing sun-swapping technique, so there's only one path left for you, and that is to defy the heavens and become a god. Lu Yurong smiled and said, so don't think about being the best in the world. Just focus on practicing your martial arts until you've mastered it. Perfect mastery. Chu Li shook his head and laughed. Lu Yurong said, I can see that you want to stay in this world, so you can't rely on the Grandmaster's martial arts. You have to practice the martial arts of the spiritual beast. If you want to master the martial arts of the spiritual beast to perfection, you have to be well-versed in all the martial arts in the world. You have to obtain a hint of the true meaning of each martial art and have a deeper understanding of martial arts. You have to polish it bit by bit. This path is very difficult, but it's much easier for me. Chu Li smiled. You want to become the world's #1? Not bad. Lu Yurong nodded. If I want to master the Empyrean fairy power, I have to rely on my state of mind. The state of mind is the most mysterious and unpredictable. I can't figure it out, so I don't have much hope. It's still easier to be the world's #1. Chu Li's expression changed slightly. He suddenly thought of Shao Qi. Shao Qi cultivated the regal sword scripture, which should be a grandmaster's antique study. Once she perfected it and became an enlightened master, she would leave this world. It seemed that he could not bring her into 100,000 hills, and he had to stop her from entering. If that was the case, she would not be able to become an enlightened master, which was against her will. However, if she went against her will, he could still protect the High Duke's public house if he became an enlightened master. There's another question. Chu Li pondered. The emperor is also an enlightened master. So does the imperial house have the enlightened master's elixir? The emperor can't. Lu Yurong shook her head. Those who become enlightened masters don't have the enlightened master's elixir. Only those who become enlightened masters have it. Chu Li asked. Lu Yurong nodded. If you want to protect the sect, you have to become enlightened masters. Every time the 4 major sects recruit a new disciple, a grandmaster will enter 100,000 hills. Unfortunately, no one has succeeded all these years, but their understanding of 100,000 hills is incomparable to others. I estimate that within 1,000 years, someone will become enlightened masters. 1,000 years. Chu Li shook his head. He secretly let out a sigh of relief. If the imperial house also had a dojo, how could he kill Kingen? Lu Yurong said, unfortunately, understanding 100,000 hills is useless. The spirit beasts are too powerful. A grandmaster entering is like a child entering a beast's lair. 9 out of 10 deaths is considered light. 1,000 years is already the fastest. Chu Li nodded. Lu Yurong said, oh, right, you better not kill Kingen. If Kingen dies, the emperor will definitely take revenge. Chu Li sighed. Lu Yushu and Ji Ruyu happily strolled around Green Mountain Town, then went to the Mountain Beyond Mountain restaurant and went straight up to the 3rd floor. As soon as they stepped on the 3rd floor, Ji Ruyu suddenly stopped in her tracks. Lu Yushu was puzzled. Xiaoyu, what's wrong? Ji Ruyu hurriedly pulled his sleeve, turned around, and left. Lu Yurong was pulled down by her. She asked curiously on the stairs, Xiaoyu, what's wrong? Junior sister Ji. Suddenly, a clear voice was heard. A figure flashed, and a handsome young man appeared on the stairs. His figure was tall and slender. He had the waist of a bee and the back of an ape. There was an ancient-colored, long sword hanging on his waist. His face was like jade, and his eyes were like bright stars. He was looking at Ji Ruyu in surprise. Lu Yushu immediately understood that he was really unlucky. He really met someone who knew Ji Ruyu. "Who are you?" Lu Yushu said in a deep voice and blocked in front of Ji Ruyu. "You've got the wrong person." The handsome young man shook his head and smiled. "Forget about junior sister Ji wearing a veil. Even if her whole body was covered, I would still recognize her." "Junior sister Ji, who is he? You don't know your place." Lu Yushu said impatiently, "This is my wife, not junior sister Ji. Move aside, we want to go downstairs." The handsome young man closed fist saluted. "I am Fong Jing." Lu Yushu said, "Which faction are you from?" "I am a disciple of Feng Huang Mountain." Fong Jing smiled. "When did junior sister Ji get married and become your wife?" "How would I not know? We got married a year ago." "You've got the wrong person. Move aside." Lu Yushu scoffed impatiently. "Or else, don't blame me for being rude. Junior sister Ji." Fong Jing did not care and looked at Ji Ruyu, who was behind Lu Yushu. "Guards." Lu Yushu scoffed in a deep voice. "Second young master." Two grandmasters appeared behind Fong Jing. "Beat him out of here." Lu Yushu pointed at Fong Jing. "Yes." The two grandmasters closed fist saluted and answered. Fong Jing unsheathed his sword and said in a deep voice, "Who are you? How dare you fight in Green Mountain Town in broad daylight?" "Humph, I'll let you know what courage is today." "Kill him." Lu Yushu scoffed. "Yes." The two grandmasters answered, but they knew in their hearts that they could not kill him. They just had to chase him away. Ji Ruyu said in a low voice, "Yushu, I understand. I'm just scaring him." Lu Yushu quickly nodded. Ji Ruyu followed him upstairs and said in a low voice, "This is bad. I'm afraid the church will find out this time." "He doesn't know my identity," Lu Yushu said. Ji Ruyu shook her head. "He'll know once he asks. Moreover, he knows that I'm in Green Mountain Town. With the church's ability, they'll be able to find out in no time." "Humph, if they want to find out information in Green Mountain Town, they'll have to ask the House of High Dukes for permission." Lu Yushu was full of confidence and said nonchalantly, "Let's go back quickly and discuss with little sister. She has a lot of ideas." "That's fine too." Ji Ruyu sighed. "She'll blame us for messing around." "How is this messing around?" Lu Yushu pouted and said, "Whatever she says. That mouth of hers can make people want to commit suicide. If you take it seriously, you'll be making things difficult for yourself. She has a sharp tongue, but a soft heart." "Yes." Ji Ruyu nodded lightly. The two of them looked down. Fong Jing was fighting with two grandmasters. They were fighting and moving. In just a short while, they had reached the end of the street and were about to escape. Lu Yushu raised his voice. "Just make him leave." Chapter 641. Chu Li initially wanted to leave, but Lu Yurong urged him to stay for 2 days to shock High Duke Lu enough before leaving. Only then would the favor be repaid. Chu Li estimated that the imperial residence was fine, and Sio Shur had returned to the High Duke's public house without worries. It was fine if he did not do the secret guardians hall. It was mainly for him to gather information. As for the Crouching Bull Mountain, he had already entered the mountain to cultivate in isolation. They could not find him, and returning once every half a month was just right. Thus, he agreed to stay at the Rin public house for 2 days. The two sat in the gazebo at the backyard, drinking tea and chatting about the martial arts world, talking about the deeds of the past enlightened masters. Lu Yurong was very familiar with these enlightened masters. She knew every enlightened master's background, what martial arts they cultivated, and how they became enlightened masters. Chu Li was in awe as he listened to them. He was still far behind. At this moment, footsteps were heard. Lu Yushu and Ji Ruyu hurried in, seeing the two of them leisurely drinking tea. Lu Yushu was furious. He said with an unpleasant expression, "Little sister, someone recognized Xiaoyu." Lu Yurong waved her hand. "Come, sit down and talk." Ji Ruyu said, embarrassedly, "It's one of my senior brothers. I didn't expect to meet him here." "He's very familiar with you," Lu Yushu said. Ji Ruyu nodded lightly. Lu Yushu realized and felt uncomfortable. "Why is he so familiar with you? He likes you, doesn't he?" Ji Ruyu rolled her eyes at him and said, "Yes, he likes me." "No wonder," Lu Yushu scoffed. "I can tell that there's something wrong with his eyes." Ji Ruyu turned to look at Lu Yurong. "Miss Lu, the Holy Church must know about me now." "So be it," Lu Yurong said calmly. "It's just a step earlier. I wonder what the Holy Church of Light is doing here." Ji Ruyu frowned and thought for a while. She shook her head. "It was just to find out some information. There's no special purpose." "Seems like he wants to find out about the Ren public house." Lu Yurong nodded lightly. "It's not just him, right? It should be only senior brother Fong," Ji Ruyu said. Lu Yurong did not ask any more to prevent Ji Ruyu from thinking that she was spying on the Holy Church of Light. "What kind of person is senior brother Fong?" "Senior brother Fong is very smart." Ji Ruyu sighed. Lu Yushu scoffed. "Smart." Ji Ruyu glanced at him and pursed her lips into a smile. "Senior brother Fong is indeed an extremely intelligent person, much smarter than Yushu." "He's handsome, isn't he?" Lu Yurong said. "Handsome my asterisk, SS." Lu Yushu hurriedly said. "Far worse than me?" "That means he's very handsome." Lu Yurong nodded and said, "He is handsome, extremely intelligent, and also likes you. Miss G, why don't you like him? Why did you choose a fool like my second brother?" "Little sister." Lu Yushu shouted in dissatisfaction. "Who's stupid?" Lu Yurong said. "No matter how I think about it, it's still unbelievable." Ji Ryu shook her head lightly. "It's hard to say for sure about his feelings. Maybe it's because he's too smart." Lu Yurong's eyebrows twitched. She looked at Lu Yushu, then looked at Chu Li. She really could not understand. She hated fools the most. She felt that all their words and actions were infuriating. She always wanted to lose her temper and scold them. It was hard to understand why they were so stupid. They could not do simple things well and kept making mistakes. Although Lu Yushu was her second brother, she still could not believe that Ji Ruyu, who came from the Holy Church of Light, would like him. Chu Li, on the other hand, understood Ji Ruyu a little, because if he was too smart, he would be too calculative, and his feelings would not be pure. Although this Fong Jing liked Ji Ruyu, unfortunately, it was mostly for the sake of benefits. Ji Ruyu valued feelings too much. She wanted the purest feelings. Although Lu Yushu was not smart, he fell in love with her at first sight. He did not know her identity. It was pure love. He pursued her with extreme passion. Even after knowing her identity, knowing that there were many obstacles, he was still determined to be with her. He wanted to be with her no matter what. He secretly sighed. It was said that a clever woman accompanied a clumsy husband. There really was such a thing. "Little sister, don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and come up with an idea. Should we kill this guy?" Lu Yushu hurriedly said. Ji Ruyu glared at him. Lu Yushu said, "Anyway, I don't like him. He smiled so sinisterly. One look and I know he's not a good person." Lu Yurong pondered. "Since he's a smart person, let's use his intelligence. Miss G, you have to put on a show. Meet him in secret." "What?" Lu Yushu stared. "Meet him in secret? No way." Lu Yurong said, "Forget it, I don't care." "Little sister," Lu Yushu hurriedly said, "why go through so much trouble? Just kill him. Then let Xiaoyu fake her death. The Holy Church of Light will think that the two of them died together. It won't raise suspicion. That's a good idea, simple and violent. Lu Yurong chuckled and looked at Ji Ruyu. Ji Ruyu lightly shook her head. That will attract the Holy Church's revenge. They'll take revenge no matter what, right? Lu Yushu scoffed. If you die and he doesn't, they won't take revenge. There's a difference between one person dying and two people dying, Ji Ruyu said. Moreover, Senior Brother Fong's position is different. He's far more important than me. What's his position? Lu Yushu scoffed. Ji Ruyu said, his master is an altar leader, and my master passed away a long time ago. If that's the case, Lu Yushu turned to Lu Yurong. Little sister, what should we do? Lu Yurong said, how about this? You first tell him that you came to the High Duke's public house to spy for information, then ask him to leave quickly to avoid exposing you. Yes, Ji Ruyu lightly nodded. Lu Yurong said, then I'll send people to hunt you down. You fake your death, he escapes. It should be about time. The Holy Church of Light won't come again, right? Ji Ruyu revealed a smile. That's good. Then it's decided. Lu Yurong said, you go look for him tonight. Lu Yushu's eyes widened. He wanted to say something, but stopped. Lu Yurong glanced at him. Second brother, don't mess around. This is a big matter. If you mess it up, you can forget about being together. All right. Lu Yushu helplessly nodded. After they left, Lu Yurong looked at Chu Li. What do you think of my idea? Chu Li smiled and nodded. Very good, but do you really agree to be together with them? He had a better idea, a more complicated strategy, but he was not prepared to say much, in case he would be disliked. What can I do if second brother likes her? Lu Yurong sighed. He likes every woman he sees. He has never really liked a woman. Now that he finally found that person, I have to fulfill his wish. You should know how troublesome it will be. Chu Li sighed. Being involved with the Holy Church of Light was really a big trouble. Even if he faked his death to escape, he did not know if there would be trouble in the future. Moreover, once the Rin public house and the Holy Church of Light had a conflict, what would Ji Ruyu do? Lu Yurong slowly said, I can handle it. All right, let's hope it won't attract more powerful people. Chu Li said, you really take care of second brother. As long as Ji Ruyu doesn't have any disloyal thoughts, Lu Yurong said. Chu Li smiled. Who knows a woman's heart? Now her heart is on second young master. I can only wish second young master good luck to be able to keep Miss Ji's heart. Lu Yurong pursed her lips and smiled. Are you a little jealous, thinking that such a beauty has been taken by second brother? Chapter 642. The night was dark, and the moonlight shone like water. Ji Ruyu glided into a mansion. The hall was brightly lit. She approached lightly and saw the two people in the hall. Her expression suddenly changed. There were two people sitting in the hall. One of them was Fong Jing. He was tall and straight with a jade-like face. Under the light, he looked more gentle and full of heroic spirit. A middle-aged man sat in front of him. He had a round face and was short. His face was bumpy and uneven, but his eyes were bright as if they were real. When Ji Ruyu saw him, her expression changed slightly. She was anxious, and her thoughts turned quickly. Her original excuse could not be used anymore. Fortunately, Lu Yurong had given her 2 sets of excuses before she came. It was to prevent such a situation. At this moment, she was secretly thankful that Lu Yurong was meticulous and had thought of an extra set of plans. She was able to hold on at the crucial moment. Otherwise, her plan would have been full of loopholes. The person sitting in the hall was Altar Master Ho Jingzong. She coughed softly and said, Disciple Ji Ruyu greets Altar Leader Ho. Come in. Ho Jingzong said in a deep voice. Ji Ruyu entered the hall and curtsied. Fang Jing smiled. Junior Sister Ji, you're finally here. I thought you didn't recognize me. Ji Ruyu glared at him and said coldly, Senior Brother Fang, you've ruined my big plan. Fang Jing was stunned. That guy beside you is the second young master of the Ren public house. Yes. Ji Ruyu nodded. When did you get involved with him? Junior Sister Ji, you've always been blunt with men. Don't tell me you've fallen for him. Fang Jing shook his head and laughed. He sounded like he was joking. He did not believe it at all. Ji Ruyu was arrogant. She did not care about her peers in the church. She had always been arrogant and supercilious in front of men. Lu Yushu was just a playboy. Other than his good looks, his stomach was full of grass. He was pure gold and jade on the outside. He was an idiot with Junior Sister Ji's taste. How could she fall for him? Ji Ruyu said, Senior brother, you're so smart. Why did you do such a thing? Fang Jing was stunned. He nodded slowly and smiled bitterly. Did I spoil it? After thinking about it, he felt that it was indeed inappropriate. At that time, he was controlled by his emotions and was impulsive. That kind of action was inappropriate. Junior Sister Ji obviously didn't want to acknowledge him, so he shouldn't force her. It was very likely that there was something that she couldn't tell him. He could just look for it later. I've already entered the High Duke's public house, but I didn't expect you to appear here. Ji Ryu shook her head. All my previous efforts have gone to waste. I can't stay here any longer. If I say that I'm a disciple of Feng Huang Mountain, I should be able to fool him, right? Fang Jing said uncertainly, I don't think that Lu Yushu is that smart. Lu Yurong is back, Ji Ruyu said. Actually, she doesn't believe me all this while and is investigating me. Now that you have appeared, I reckon they have already found out where you are staying. We have to leave quickly. Master? Fang Jing looked at the silent Ho Jingzong. Ho Jingzong calmly said, What's the rush? Altar Lord Ho, I'm afraid that they will hunt me down. Ji Ruyu said, Lu Yurong is smart and powerful. She won't let go of the slightest suspicion. Moreover, I've received some news from the House of High Dukes. What news? Ho Jingzong asked. Ji Ruyu hesitated for a moment. Ho Jingzong said, Don't worry. Do you think I'll swallow your little merit? This is top secret news. Ji Ruyu said, I want to personally report it to the saint. Ho Jingzong frowned. You don't trust me? Ji Ruyu shook her head. Her expression was weak but firm. This matter is of great importance. It can't be leaked. Don't tell me it doesn't exist. Ho Jingzong said in a low voice. Why did you suddenly sneak into the House of High Dukes? The church didn't ask you to do that. Ji Ruyu sighed. Actually, it's a coincidence. I didn't want to go to the House of High Dukes at first. I only wanted to scout around Green Hill Road. Then, I met the second young master of the House of High Dukes at a restaurant. He fell in love with me at first sight. So, I took advantage of the situation and entered the House of High Dukes. I found out a lot of top-secret news. It's impossible to find out from the outside. You're really diligent. Ho Jingzong nodded slowly. You're quick-witted. Very good. He knew that Ji Ruyu had a heart that refused to bow down to others. She had the spirit of a woman that was not inferior to men. She would definitely seize the opportunity when she saw it. It was indeed a rare opportunity for her to enter the House of High Dukes. The difficulty of entering the House of High Dukes was beyond imagination. Fang Jing quickly said, Sister, you're too silly. You entered the House of High Dukes, just like that. Ji Ruyu said lightly, Brother Fang, don't worry. I have the ability to protect myself. I won't let Lu Yushu get close to me. That's true. Fang Jing nodded. That idiot's martial arts is too weak. Altar leader, we have to leave as soon as possible. Lu Yurong is very powerful. The House of High Duke's spies in the city are everywhere. I think they've already found this place. We have to leave quickly. They'll definitely kill me. I heard that Lu Yurong's martial arts is not bad. Ho Jingzong said lightly. I wonder how it is. Altar leader Ho Ji Ruyu's delicate face turned pale. Don't tell me you want to fight them? There's no harm in trying, Ho Jingzong said. Fang Jing smiled. Master's martial arts is peerless. The small house of high dukes won't be able to keep us here. But, Ji Ruyu said, helplessly, it seems that Lu Yurong has a friend here. His name is Chu Li. Chu Li is here? Fang Jing quickly shouted. Ho Jingzong glanced at him and said lightly, Chu Li from the imperial residence of King N? Yes, Ji Ruyu said. He's also smart and powerful. If he's with Lu Yurong, I don't think I can hide it anymore. I might as well leave immediately. I want to seek shelter from altar leader Ho and leave Green Mountain Town. I'm afraid it'll be hard for me to escape their pursuit. Chu Li, Ho Jingzong sneered. All the more reason not to leave. How about this? Fang Jing, you take Miss Ji, and leave first. Master, you're staying? Fang Jing quickly said. I'll stay too. You're just a burden. I'll delay them for a while, so that you can go further. Ho Jingzong said. Or else, if they really catch up to you, it'll be troublesome. The House of High Dukes is powerful. They might not be able to protect you. Yes, master. Fang Jing nodded helplessly. It's better if you all stay. Suddenly, a clear voice was heard. A woman in white floated down from the hall. Her face was covered with a white veil, revealing only her star-like bright eyes. Her gaze was cold and indifferent, like a fairy who did not belong to the mortal world. Lu Yurong? Fang Jing cried out involuntarily. Lu Yurong's cold eyes looked at Ji Ruyu. There's something wrong with you. I didn't expect you to be a disciple of the Holy Church of Light. Ji Ruyu was expressionless. She remained silent. Kill yourself, Lu Yurong said lightly. I'll leave you with some dignity. I won't force you for information about the Holy Church of Light. Consider it as giving my second brother some dignity. Ji Ruyu remained silent. She did not look at her. Ho Jingzong said coldly, Humph, how arrogant. Lu Yurong looked at Ho Jingzong. Who are you from the Holy Church of Light? Ho Jingzong. Ho Jingzong. Is he very famous? Lu Yurong said lightly. Chapter 643. P.S. With everyone's support and being able to stay in the top 10 of the monthly votes for 2 days, thank you, one of the 8 altar leaders. Lu Yurong frowned. What is the altar leader doing here? Are you here for the Rin public house? Ho Jingzong said in a low voice. What I'm here for is none of your business. Lu Yurong said, this is within the borders of the public house. The public house needs to know every master who comes here. The Holy Church of Light is sneaking around. Which faction are you going to deal with, and which faction are you trying to steal the secret manual from? Ho Jingzong's expression did not change, but his heart sank. The stealing of the secret manual was a top secret. Only the patrol knew about it. The rest of the Holy Church's masters did not know about the target. They were only acting on the patrol's orders, so this was a top secret. This time, the patrol did not perform well and lost a few grandmasters. He was ordered to investigate to see if it was the patrol's fault. Now, it seemed that the stealing of the secret manual was leaked. Lu Yurong smiled. Does altar leader Ho think that this is a secret and no one knows about it? That's right. Ho Jingzong scoffed. He wanted to find out if it was the patrol's problem or if there was another reason. Lu Yurong said, your great light scripture combined into one, and your ambition grew. You want to train more enlightened masters. I know what you're trying to do. You're proficient in all martial arts and perfect your cultivation. It's a very simple deduction. Plus, you've attacked Crouching Bull Mountain's Snow Lunar Pavilion. Based on your reaction just now, I can confirm that you're indeed stealing the secret manual. Ho Jingzong's face darkened. He didn't expect that he would actually fall into a trap. His heart was stolen by this little girl's words, causing him to lose his cool. As a result, he was seen through and confirmed his conjecture. She was just bluffing him. He was embarrassed and angry. He was one of the 8 altar leaders, but he was fooled by a little girl. It was embarrassing. Lu Yurong said, altar leader Ho is angry and wants to fight, right? Ho Jingzong laughed coldly. You're so young, yet you're scheming. You're digging your own grave. Today, I'll send you to hell. Are you going to send me to hell, or should I send you to hell? Lu Yurong shook her head. Come out. Yes, lady. 8 black-clothed men floated in and entered the hall, blocking the windows and the entrance. Fang Jing's face changed slightly. He scolded himself for not being decisive. It was not easy to get out now. He could not help but look at Ji Ruyu. Ji Ruyu revealed a resolute expression. Junior Sister Ji, don't worry. Master will find a way to get us out. Fang Jing whispered. Ji Ruyu sighed faintly. Even if we can get out, we won't be able to escape from being hunted down. There are too many of them. Master will have a way. Fang Jing said. Lu Yurong said, altar leader Ho's martial arts are profound, but even if you can defeat me, how many grandmasters can you defeat? The remaining 4 grandmasters should be more than enough to deal with Ji Ruyu and the rest, right? So, it's better not to make a move. Let Ji Ruyu commit suicide, and we won't pursue the matter of the Holy Church of Light sneaking into Green Mountain City anymore. Otherwise, all of you will die together. Ho Jingzong was even more certain that Ji Ruyu had obtained top-secret information, and that the Rim public house would definitely kill her. The more this was the case, the more he could not let Ji Ruyu die. If he could bring her back to the saint, he would be rewarded greatly. The 8 men in black were all grandmasters. Ho Jingzong sized them up, and his face became even more gloomy. He looked at Fang Jing. Fang Jing looked at his master's face and knew what he wanted to do. He smiled bitterly in his heart, but nodded slowly, indicating that he understood. Lu Yurong said, you won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. Since altar leader Ho wants to try, then I'll have to offend you. She pressed her palm down, lightly. Ho Jingzong waved his palm and struck. Bang! A strong wind surged. Lu Yurong's white robe fluttered as she flew away with the wind. The white veil covering her face swayed slightly. She shook her head. Altar leader Ho, you're no match for us. Everyone, let's attack together. Yes, the 8 men responded. 4 of them pounced on Ho Jingzong, while the other 4 blocked the exit. Bang, 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 bang. Lu Yurong's lily-white hands slapped a few times, as if it was child's play. Palm energy gushed out in an instant. Ho Jingzong either dodged or blocked it. The 4 grandmasters were not just for show. Even if their cultivation level was lower than his, their close combat attacks were enough to kill him. Ho Jingzong was able to handle the 4 grandmasters' attacks with ease. However, he was extremely wary of Lu Yurong's palm energy. Her palm energy was strange. It was firm and cold, which would slow him down. In a battle between masters, a slight delay could mean life or death. Fang Jing unsheathed his sword. A cold light shone down as he attacked the other 4 grandmasters. Ji Ruyu stood at the side, without moving. Ho Jingzong realized that he had underestimated the Ren public house, especially Lu Yurong. He did not expect her to have the highest cultivation level despite being the youngest, especially her strange inner energy. It was truly terrifying. If he did not cultivate the scripture of great light, he would have frozen to death. Even so, his movements were getting slower and slower. He needed more time to think about how to deal with her palm energy. If he had known this would happen, he would not have been careless and would have killed her immediately. Unfortunately, he was worried about her identity and slowed down. Hence, he missed the opportunity. It was not easy to kill her now. Whoosh! He suddenly flashed out of the 4 people's encirclement and punched Lu Yurong. Lu Yurong lightly stepped sideways and avoided the punch. Boom! A clear fist mark appeared on the wall. It was 3 inches deep. Ho Jingzong was secretly angry. This little girl was really cunning. She did not take his charged attack head-on. It was obvious that she noticed something was wrong. Lu Yurong suddenly moved and shot towards Ji Ruyu. Bang! Ho Jingzong blocked in front of her. Lu Yurong said, "Does Altar Leader Ho really think you can protect her? With me here, you can't kill her." Ho Jingzong said in a low voice. "Then I'd like to see. You want to take her away and leave your disciple behind?" Lu Yurong said. Ho Jingzong laughed coldly. Nonsense. He was secretly shocked. Lu Yurong's intelligence was indeed worthy of her reputation. With just a glance, she actually noticed and guessed his thoughts. A woman with such intelligence was really scary. She had the elegance of a saint. Ji Ruyu must die today. All of you must die too. Lu Yurong scoffed. Such arrogance. Ho Jingzong said coldly. With just you guys, you want to keep me here? What a joke. What if there's someone else? Chu Li, it's your turn. Lu Yurong laughed softly. Coming. A clear voice was heard. A white shadow suddenly flashed before Ho Jingzong's eyes. His body suddenly tensed up, and his inner energy flowed faster. He shouted, "Be careful!" Chu Li appeared behind Ji Ruyu. He smiled and lightly patted her back. Pop! A crisp sound was heard. It was like a pebble was thrown into a deep well. Ji Ruyu's eyes suddenly widened. The light in her eyes was instantly extinguished. It was as if her bones were removed from her body. She fell limply to the ground, motionless. Chu Li slowly retracted his right palm and smiled. "Fortunately, I didn't fail you." His essence, spirit, and spirit were thrown into the flame and turned into turbulent inner energy. His inner energy increased by 4 times, and his speed suddenly increased. In the blink of an eye, he was behind Chu Li. Chu Li suddenly took a step forward and widened the distance by 20 feet. With another step, he widened the distance by another 20 feet. Ho Jingzong let out a long howl and increased his speed. An obsession arose in his heart. He did not believe that he could not catch up to Chu Li. The two of them were like two illusory shadows drifting under the moonlight. Their figures could not be seen clearly. In a flash, they had already disappeared into the distance. Chu Li suddenly laughed. "Altar Leader Ho, how much time do you have left? Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me." Ho Jingzong roared and increased his speed again. Chu Li laughed. "Isn't it a pity for you to lose your life here? If I were you, I'd just return home. It's just Ji Ruyu, she's not worth mentioning to you. Why make a big deal out of it?" As soon as he finished speaking, he increased his speed again and disappeared in a short while, blending into the distant night. Ho Jingzong suddenly stopped and withdrew his secret skill. Instantly, his face turned as white as a sheet, and he looked like he was going to collapse at any time. He immediately sat cross-legged on the ground. The secret skill of Great Light was easy to activate, but difficult to stop. It consumed a lot of energy and made his body weak. Moreover, his blood was boiling and he needed to rest well. Chu Li's voice suddenly sounded behind him. "Altar Leader Ho, remember that you owe me a life." Ho Jingzong suddenly turned around. Chu Li was standing 2 feet behind him, looking down at him quietly. "You." Ho Jingzong's face darkened. Chu Li shook his head. "You better come up with an excuse to remove me from the Run public house. Otherwise, the next time we meet, I'll take your life. I mean what I say." With that, he flashed a few times and disappeared into the distance again. Chapter 645. When Chu Li returned to the backyard of the Run public house, it was already early in the morning. Lu Yurong was reading a book in the gazebo with a calm expression. The gazebo was brightly lit, and the maids had already left. Lu Yushu was pacing back and forth outside the gazebo, anxious and restless. After walking a few more times, he stopped and said, "Little sister, is there really no problem with the surname Chu?" Lu Yurong's clear eyes glanced at the top of the scroll, then back to the scroll, ignoring him. Lu Yushu came to the gazebo and sat down. He picked up the teacup and drank it in one gulp. If he bears a grudge and seeks revenge on Xiaoyu, what will he do? Lu Yurong asked. "Will we hand Xiaoyu over to the other side?" Lu Yushu asked. Lu Yurong laughed. "You think he's that kind of person?" "Humph, there's no knowing what's in a man's heart." Lu Yushu said, "I just don't like him. He's a guy with a belly full of evil tricks. You should stay away from him. Little sister, although you're smart, you're still lacking compared to him." Lu Yurong could not help but laugh. "In your eyes, I'm not as good as him. In any case, you won't be able to please him." Lu Yushu's voice was so low that it was almost inaudible. "What did you say, second brother?" Lu Yurong narrowed her eyes. Lu Yushu hurriedly waved his hand. "Pretend I didn't say anything, little sister. Anyway, you can't let your guard down against him. You have to be on guard against him at all times." "All right, I'll be on guard at all times." Lu Yurong scoffed. "Father told you to tell me this, right?" "Well," Lu Yushu said uncomfortably, "I can't hide anything from little sister." Lu Yurong scoffed. "If he wants to say it himself, why doesn't he do it himself?" "I don't dare." Lu Yushu mumbled to himself. But when he saw Lu Yurong glaring at him, he quickly smiled and said, "Dad said that he's a grown man, so it's not appropriate for him to say these things. Anyway, all men are bad, so there's nothing wrong with being careful. Tell him to stop worrying." Lu Yurong snapped. Lu Yushu said, All right, I don't care, but I don't think this kid is a good person." Yes, he's a bad guy, worse than you." Lu Yurong snapped. "If you can't stand it, go back to your own courtyard. Don't be an eyesore." "Little sister, I'm just anxious. He'll definitely come to your side first." Lu Yushu smiled sheepishly. "Second young master Lu is bad-mouthing me again. Chu Li's voice suddenly rang out as he appeared in the gazebo. He placed Ji Ruyu on the stone table. Lu Yushu hurriedly ran over and looked at Ji Ruyu with a pitiful expression. He slowly caressed Ji Ruyu's face and turned his head to ask, "Little sister, there won't be any accidents, right?" He had been on tenterhooks, fearing that something might go wrong. Lu Yurong said, "Don't worry. She'll wake up tomorrow night. Bring her back first." "All right." Chapter 646. P.S. I wrote too slowly. The weather is hot, and I can't calm down. I'm very sorry. Chu Li sat in his courtyard and used the omniscient mirror to observe King, and a king and without his martial arts was a good king, and he dared not kill him, but he dared to cripple him. He planned to keep him a cripple. King, and who was crippled of his martial arts, had lost his confidence. It was as if his bones were removed. He could not be tough and did not dare to act recklessly. He could only think about dealing with Chu Li. With the 9 dragons tripod cauldron, his martial arts recovered quickly, and he would not despair. Instead, he would become more courageous and regain his martial arts. He would not be in the mood to do anything else but cultivate and cultivate. He would not come out to annoy Chu Li. The next time his martial arts recovered, he would not be so arrogant. He would tuck his tail between his legs and increase the level of the Golden Lohan's power. He would only show it when he was confident that he could kill Chu Li. However, while he was improving, Chu Li was also moving forward. As long as he was ahead of him and kept suppressing him, it would be best if he could make him go crazy. To become a god, as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, he could not stop the impulse. This was his path to becoming an enlightened master, to become a god but not to become one. To become a god, he needed to be the best in the world. He had to wait for the first enlightened master to pass away. An enlightened master's lifespan was extremely long. He did not know when the enlightened master from the Tempest Temple would ascend to heaven. He could not wait that long. He could only become a god and enter 100,000 hills to forge his own path. He had the spirit crane's peak. The spirit cranes were the strongest among the spirit beasts. Even if they were not the best with their protection, he might be able to defend against other spirit beasts. The more he thought about it, the brighter he felt his future was. He had an advantage over others. It was as if God had chosen this path for him, and he could not let it down. The heavenly demonic power and the life and death scripture could not be expected to be perfected. Once they were perfected, he would have to leave. However, he knew the difficulty of the two. It was almost impossible to perfect them. He needed to cultivate martial arts that originated from spirit beasts, like the art of White Tiger. Among the 4 major sects, the Tempest Temple's fundamental heart technique was the Mahavirokana demon subduing scripture, which was a grandmaster's martial arts. The Titanium Temple's 10 lifetimes of Dharma technique was the same. Although he did not know the fundamental martial arts of the Amethyst Mountain and the Green Deer Cliff, he guessed that they were also grandmasters' martial arts. The fundamental martial arts study of the Holy Church of Light was the Great Light Scripture, which was also a grandmaster's martial arts study. He vaguely felt that it was possible that the 4 major sects cultivated the grandmaster's martial arts study. After the spirit beasts entered the 100,000 hills, the martial arts of the spirit beasts were unable to recover and gradually declined. Could it be that the first-rate sects, like the Crouching Bull Mountain, had the same status as the Tempest Temple, and the others? However, after the decline of the spirit beast martial arts, the Tempest Temple's grandmasters' martial arts were not affected as much, so they did not decline as quickly. Was that why they became the 4 major sects? If that was really the case, then their foundation was very deep and worthy of his attention. He wanted to control the Crouching Bull Mountain. Initially, he wanted to obtain the surpassing state and use it to nurture grandmasters to strengthen his forces. This way, he could save himself time and effort, and the High Duke's public house would not have to worry anymore. Now, his goal had changed. Not only did he want to obtain the surpassing state, but he also wanted to obtain the martial arts study. If the martial arts study of the Crouching Bull Mountain was strong enough, it would not be impossible to cultivate it to perfection. Ah! Kingen roared at the sky. Su Ning rushed over and bowed, with pressed palms. Kingen turned his head and stared at Su Ning. Su Ning said, "Your Royal Highness, what happened?" "The Amethyst Mountain, that guy from the Amethyst Mountain is here again." Kingen gritted his teeth, and his face was ferocious. "He crippled my martial arts again." Su Ning frowned. "What grudge does your Royal Highness have with the Amethyst Mountain?" Kingen slowly shook his head. "No grudge. However, it is inevitable that I will offend someone when I do things. Who knows who I might have offended unintentionally? Your Royal Highness, do you still have primary heaven pills?" Su Ning asked. Kingen sighed. "I only have one. I can't get another one." Su Ning remained silent. Kingen gritted his teeth. "If I recover my martial arts, and that guy comes out again," Su Ning said, "looks like I can't cultivate in the imperial residence anymore." "You have to find a secret place," Kingen said in a low voice and turned his head to look at Su Ning. Su Ning shook his head. "The temple will never agree." Kingen scoffed. "If it doesn't work, I can only look for the Tempest Temple." Su Ning nodded slowly. "The Tempest Temple will agree." Kingen saw that he was unmoved and said helplessly, "I'm worried about the Tempest Temple." "Forget it. Let's find a secret place. As long as we have the 9 Dragons tripod cauldron, we can cultivate anywhere. Revered sir, please help me with this." "Yes," Su Ning bowed with pressed palms. Chapter 647. "Move, I want to go in." Xiao Wei scoffed. Xiao San was troubled. "The young master is cultivating and should not be disturbed." "Miss Xiao, why don't you wait?" "I'm going in now." "Xiao San, are you going to stop me?" Xiao Wei said impatiently. "Miss Xia, I dare not, but if I let you in, the young master will skin me alive. I hope Miss Xia can take pity on me and wait." Xiao San quickly said, "There's no use pretending to be pitiful. He's not the hill master yet." "Is it so hard to see him?" Xiao San quickly said. "Wait until the young master finishes his cultivation." "I won't stop you." Xiao San quickly said. Xiao Wei scoffed. "Don't tell me he's not inside." Xiao San was shocked. He shook his head and smiled. "How is that possible? Then I want to see." Xiao Wei said. Chu Li shook his head and said lazily, "Let her in." "Yes, young master." Xiao San quickly replied. Xiao Wei kicked the door open. Her beautiful face was cold. Chu Li sheathed his sword and did not look at her. He sat at the stone table and said lazily, "What's the matter? Where have you been these days? There's no one around every time I come." Xiao Wei said, "Isolated cultivation." Chu Li said, "Where did you go for seclusion?" Xiao Wei scoffed. "Don't tell me you secretly went down the mountain to play." Chu Li glanced at her. "You're too nosy. Do you know that another disciple died because you weren't here?" Xiao Wei shouted. Chu Li frowned. Impossible. He had already scared Lu Yunxin away. Lu Yunxin did not have enough manpower to kill a disciple from the Holy Church of Light. Moreover, Ho Jingzong was here to investigate her. He was at the Run public house in Green Mountain Town. Lu Yunxin was probably not far away. She was very far away from here and could not have killed anyone. He's already dead. What's impossible? Xiao Wei laughed coldly. What did you say? A disciple came down the mountain to escort you. In the end, You weren't there when they needed you. Chuli took a deep breath. Where's the corpse? Are you going to apologize? What's the point of apologizing now? What were you doing before? Xiaowei said. Chuli said, I want to take a look at your wound. You are really cold-blooded. Xiaowei gritted her teeth and glared at him. Don't you feel guilty at all? Is there any use in feeling guilty? Chuli glanced at her lazily. Bring me to the corpse. Fine. Xiaowei scoffed. Let's see what you can see. Chuli waved his hand. Lead the way, don't talk so much. Xiaowei glared at him and turned to leave. Chuli followed, and Xiao Sen quickly asked, Young master, should I go? He felt that he shouldn't disturb their time alone. Although the atmosphere was a little tense, it was also a good opportunity to improve their relationship. Let's go. Chuli scoffed. The three of them came to a courtyard and saw the corpse of a young man. Chuli took a few glances at it and turned around to leave. He returned to his own courtyard and did not say a word on the way back. Xia Wei followed him closely and sneered after entering his courtyard. How do you feel? If you had followed, senior brother Ning might not have died. Chuli nodded. Xia Wei scoffed. If you really wanted to go into isolated cultivation, there's nothing we can do about it. But you went out to have fun. What do you know? It's not those people, it's someone else. Chuli frowned impatiently. Xia Wei looked at him doubtfully. Chuli said, Xiao San, call Elder Morong and Elder Xia over. Yes, young master. Xiao San nodded and left in a hurry. Chuli tapped his fingers on the table and frowned. Xia Wei asked, Who did it? I'll tell you later, Chuli said. Xia Wei said impatiently, Why are you keeping me in suspense? Just tell me. I'm too lazy to say it again, Chuli said. Xia Wei glared at him and took a deep breath. Her full chest heaved up and down as she suppressed her anger and swallowed her curse words. Morong Chun and Xia Lian rushed over. Xia Lian saw Xia Wei and chuckled. Young Wei, you're here too. Xia Wei saw Xia Lian's expression and said unhappily, Father, I'm not here to see him. I'm here to scold him because another senior brother died. His sin is too great. Forget it. This is also our mistake. We should have escorted him personally. Xia Lian shook his head. Chu Li pointed at the stone table. Have a seat. Morong Chun and Xia Lian did not look too happy. They were indeed unhappy with Chu Li. They had promised to look for him when they descended the mountain, but they could not find him. Because of that, a disciple had died. They felt sorry for him and were unhappy with Chu Li's slip of the tongue. However, this incident was all because of their carelessness. They could not bring themselves to escort him down the mountain. They could not complain, even if they wanted to. We're in big trouble, Chu Li said. Morong Chun and Xia Lian were stunned. Young master, what do you mean? Morong Chun asked. Chu Li said, he was hit by the Shura palm, a unique martial art of Azura. Shura palm. Their expressions changed. Azura? They had heard of Azura, but had never met them. They had only heard of them, but had never seen them in person. However, they knew how powerful they were. Chu Li nodded. Have you heard the news that the Divine Church of Azura has appeared, and its followers are all Azuras? The two quickly shook their heads. Recently, Crouching Bull Mountain had been sealed off from the outside world and had very little contact with the outside world. It was almost cut off, and they had lost their sensitivity to news in the martial arts world. Chu Li said, whether it's a lone Azura or the Divine Church of Azura, it's very troublesome. Isn't the Hill Master coming out of isolated cultivation? Let him decide. Young Master, why would Azura come here? Morong Chun frowned. It doesn't make sense. Chu Li said, there's no reason for their actions. They could have just randomly bumped into them. Anyway, it's better not to leave the mountain for now. Young master, we have to leave the mountain tomorrow, Morong Chun said helplessly. We have to take care of food and clothing for the disciples in the mountain. We have to leave the mountain. All right, I'll go with you, Chu Li said. Morong Chun smiled, and Xia Lian let out a sigh of relief. Every time they left the mountain, they were under the most pressure. They were afraid that they would receive bad news, and they were most afraid that their disciples would die again. However, what they were afraid of happened. The more they were afraid, the more disciples would die. Xia Wei scoffed. Can you guarantee that it'll be fine just because you're going with me? No, Chu Li said lazily. I can only say that before they kill the other disciples, they'll have to kill me first. Humph, that's more like it, Xia Wei said. Xia Lian frowned and stared at Xia Wei. Her words revealed how heartless she was towards the young master. How could she win the young master's heart like this? Chu Li waved his hand. You guys go ahead. I still have to practice my swordsmanship. Morong Chun and Xia Lian stood up and fist saluted. They turned around and left. Qiao Sen sent him to the door respectfully. Xia Wei sneered and stared at Chu Li before leaving with him. Young master, the two elders are the hill master's right-hand men. Their words are very useful. Qiao Sen returned to the courtyard and said carefully, What are you trying to say? Chu Li looked at him coldly. Qiao Sen shrunk his body and gritted his teeth. We should be more respectful to them. We'll need them to speak for the young master in the future. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.